Hello.
Yo, yo, yo.
I saw this morning that you had your site back up.
Dude. Are you sure you saw that I had my site back up? Because I can't really tell if I have my site back up or not. I don't know.
Actually, let me refresh because I think I have it pulled up here. It was up,
Yeah, it
yeah,
should be working now.
yeah.
Oh, I had such a hard time propagating the SSL and because I converted my site to full SSL with HSTS and preloading,
Hmm.
which is all secure things that PayPal and a bunch of idiots require. Um, what I didn't know was that you cannot change that for a whole year. So once you commit to HSTS, which is people who preload the security things and double check them, or so, I don't know, something for sites, that if you make a change, it invalidates like your certificates for like a year. So I didn't know that moving over to
Huh.
the new host and had to find my other certificates and get everything. Oh, it's just an absolute god
Pain in
awful
the butt.
nightmare.
I hate dealing with the website on things I shouldn't have to deal with.
Yeah, a lot of that's just, just unnecessary crap.
You know, after we talked last and you had got your speed upgrade, I called the next day. I called my ISP and
Yes.
wanted to get a higher speed, and they said yes, we have a higher speed. We have Ultra 300.
Yeah, we're just holding that back and didn't want to tell you.
So I got Ultra 300, but the problem with Ultra 300 is it's still only 5 up. I
Oh,
didn't.
they're not opening your bandwidth for up, huh?
Yeah, and
That
I
sucks.
told the guy, I said I have 4 bonded upstream channels. It's ready. Y'all just did this like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, 5 is as much we have up. Nobody really needs more than 5.
No. Yeah, net neutrality, my ass.
And so I said, well, back in 1999, I didn't need more than 5, but I definitely need more than that 5 now. Anyway, so I guess someday when Ultra 300 gets higher speed upload, I will. But 5, if you're doing a 300 meg download, you are completely saturating your 5 meg up. It takes
Yes,
5 meg.
that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So fun stuff, man.
Yeah.
All right, I think I got to my photo and you together, or however you want to do it. Would that work for you?
Yep, that'll work.
That way you don't have
That'll work.
another 6 buttons you got to deal with.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring us live if you're all right with that.
Sure.
Let me get rid of all the lower third stuff.
I have been live all week long.
There we go. Here we go. All right, so we're live. Whoa. Are you getting okay? Now it looks like Facebook's coming on now for me.
Oh, yeah, maybe I should refresh that, huh? I got notifications of things going on.
But I don't know if this view is going to give me the comments.
Hey, look at that's us right there. It's
There
like
we go.
we're live.
You turn the audio off.
Hello, Facebook. How's everybody doing tonight?
I am doing good. Gary's out there. Jan's out there on YouTube.
Oh, awesome. I
don't-
do not have YouTube chat called up, so if you could keep an eye on that tonight, Mike, that'd be great. I do have the
I will keep an eye on that.
Facebook going.
Let me see photos. What do I need to do to get here ready here? I'm already on the photo tab.
Have a nice frosty beverage.
I have some water. Been trying to
I
drink
have that too as backup.
been trying to drink a little bit more water lately. I don't know if you saw my all the walk-in stuff I've done.
Yeah, we were talking about it there
Okay.
during our last hangout. It's incredible, man. It's great to see.
Needed to take a little bit of a break to let my feet recover, but I'm gonna keep at it. All right, you ready here, AD, to get started?
Sure, man. We got a lot to cover tonight. To cover.
So here's one thing. Let me set the recording going. That would have been horrible if I wouldn't have recorded this. And I didn't even do an audio check, but I haven't changed much, so we should still be good. Your audio is usually pretty good.
I think our market value goes up quite a bit if you don't record it. That means they have to watch.
Have to watch
or else
live.
They miss it. That's right. Or they miss.
Gary says, I'm drinking an ice cream soda.
Ooh, that sounds good.
That does sound good.
Mine is a frosty beverage, an adult beverage from Unita Baba. Unita Baba black. Unita Baba black lager. Baba black lager. That's what it's called.
Baba Black Sheep.
Yeah.
And I'm drinking water. All right, now I got recording going. I'm ready to start. So, all right, this is photo review. Let me start over. This is JPEG to RAW photo review number 14. We're going over the June 2017 contest images, and I'm not so late this month, AD. I was a little bit more on top of it this month, like 2 weeks earlier than what I've been the last couple of months. So,
I'm telling you what, man. This this week is in. I just when you called me up and you're like, can you do it? It's short notice. I'm like, why not? I mean, I'm seriously I've been on this camera every single day since Friday, doing something for someone somewhere. So, what the heck? Why not? One more day.
I appreciate you coming on tonight because I know you've been dealing with some website issues, and maybe in post-show we can chat a little bit about that.
Sure.
And I also want to mention tomorrow night you have something going on too, right?
Ooh, tomorrow night is huge. It's not as fun. I hope Kevin doesn't hear this. It's not going to be as fun as what tonight and what you and I do, but it is pretty exciting. Over my shoulder, you can see there on a Mac, which is where it's at right now, is Luminar from MacFun. But tomorrow night we are starting the public beta for the PC version. This is the first time that MacFun has ever released a beta to the public to play with, and you tell them what you want to see in the programs. This is going to be awesome. So you can sign up. There's a link on my Facebook page, I think, actually one post down underneath this video that we're watching, that you can sign up and get the free beta and get to play with this thing, which is going to be amazing. I've been playing, and it's going to be my new editor for sure.
All right. Yep. I'm going to try and dial in and watch that tomorrow night. Yep.
Oh, cool. Great. No pressure.
Very good. So just like normal, we have photos from the beginners group, which we'll try and do first, and then we have the regulars group. And if you're looking to join either one of those, I will go in the show in the end of the show and go over that again. But basically, you go to facebook.com/groups/JPEG2RAW, or you can just go to jpeg2raw.com, and then we have a link to both of those contests on there under photo contests. But I'll show you that later on. So, AD, you ready to get started with the beginners group?
Sure, man.
And we have too many to go over everyone tonight, and I know you want to do something a little bit special. So, how do you want to do this as far as picking the images?
Well, I just think why don't we you're going to do the beginners first as usual, and the very first photo that's in the beginners, I've already done something I haven't done before. I went through the images ahead of time and came up with some special stuff for you guys. So I know we've been talking about doing this before, and we're going to try to make a go of it tonight and see what happens. But I'm actually going to show you how on the computer how I would suggest to help you boost your creativity in your photos. So we're actually going to demonstrate some of the stuff as we go. So the very first photo is a perfect example of something that we can edit quickly and show how we can make it a more powerful image right off the bat.
Let me go ahead and bring that one up. Whoop.
Yeah, let me just
that image. Let's see. Practice this earlier. Let's see if I can get it right.
Thomas Sandlin, right?
Thomas Sandlin, yes.
Yeah, awesome. And this is a great image for the demonstration for the beginners. I love images like this. I always tell people when you're submitting for critiques, you can always submit your best image, okay? And if that's what you want to hear someone say, it's an awesome image on a show, that's the way to go for sure. But if you're really interested in learning, then you bring the stuff that you can't quite figure out or that you're new at and that you want to learn from. And this is a great example of an image that that we can learn from. And I can switch over. We have this set up tonight. If it works, I can switch over to this photo. Mike, what a segue. Look at that, man. You're like a total professional at this and stuff. So I'm doing one thing on one computer and Mike is doing it on another, and that was phenomenal. So I got to give you a lot of credit there, buddy. That was great.
I have a finger on the button.
Right. So this is a great snapshot photo, but sometimes we want to take a photo farther than a snapshot. And this, when I saw this photo, I said, oh, there's good potential here. It's a cute moment, which I assume is mother-daughter, and it's just everybody's looking at the camera. This is always good. But it's kind of like we got a bunch of photo bombers. We got another little girl's face and kind of behind there. And what I want to show you guys tonight, especially for the beginners, is how quick and easy we can make this photo so much more. We can make it, the new phrase I have now is boom wow.
Boom wow.
Boom wow. So we're going to put this in the develop module in Lightroom. I'm not going to do any of this stuff in Photoshop. This is going to be quick and easy stuff. Very first thing, we're going to crop. So we're going to keep the exact same setup that you see here as far as the portrait goes. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the crop down and look at the dividers on the crop here, and you can see that I'm targeting mom's face in one corner and the daughter's face in another. And immediately, the thing that you're going to see when I hit the button here, I'm going to hit the button, Frank, is suddenly those people are no longer all around there. All you need to do to this photo really pretty much is add a little bit of clarity in the negative direction to soften the image just a tad, not a lot, and then throw down the ever popular vignetting, and I usually like to make these really soft so they don't really have a hard edge to them. And that gives me a little bit more controllability. And now I bring it in and I can darken this image so that these people around the outside are not so prominent. And you can even go farther. If you really want to eliminate them, you can load up the adjustment brush and you can go ahead and paint on these people if you want to and drop the exposure, and they'll go right away out of the photo pretty quick. You don't have to do like major editing here. This is nice and easy stuff. Drop the exposure and boom, now you have a portrait of two people that were sitting in a theater. How long did that take? That was just like just a minute, right? But it's now you can treat it for color. You can do whatever you want. Like she has a little bit of red on her face. You can pull that out with the HSL slider or whatever. Or you can apply a preset if you want to do something like a preset on there. All of a sudden, just press a button and go. But that gets your photo now to what the subject is of the photo. It's mom and her daughter and not a lot of people, extras in the actual photo. So I think that's mainly what I'd like to do tonight with a few of these photos is kind of just quickly show you guys as fast as I can, because the boss told me the other day during my webinar, he's like, we got to go fast. We got to go fast. And I'm like, all right, I got to learn to do this stuff really quick and really fast. So that's what we're going to try to do.
That was fantastic. And that was all in Lightroom.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're more experienced than the average person. At least more experienced than me. Let's just say that. So you know, maybe it takes us twice as long, but still, with that, I think the key was how you cropped it and how you use those 2 points to your advantage.
Yeah, we're working with folks who are in the beginner group. They're there for a reason. They want to learn something. They want to pick up a little tidbit of something, a little morsel that they can use. I don't want to overload anybody. I mean, I could spend an hour working on that image and doing all sorts of things to it, trying different things, seeing what I like, what I don't like. But I think the important thing is that it was a good image. It captured a great moment. So now all we need to do is just kind of, you know, and now when this person sees that, and if it resonates with them as well, which I hope that it does, they're going to think about that when they go and take a photo next time. Mm-hmm. I should get in closer. Like, I don't have to crop it at home. You can, but you can closer and do it right in camera. So
yeah, I hope Thomas has a chance.
When I think about this cropping stuff and doing these types of compositions, I always think about that it's just an idea card that goes into my back pocket when I'm out with my camera. Now I'm going to be thinking about, oh, I could frame this a different way. So, yeah.
I hope Thomas gets to see that, because that was an easy change that made a big difference. All right.
You got it.
Do you have any preference on the next one?
You can go ahead and pick. I kind of went through every one of these and just did a little something or had suggestions about each one. I thought the way to lead the show off, because a lot of these images that we have in the beginner group are broken down into, the only thing I'm really seeing that's major with them is just composition. So it's going to be a lot of cropping. So maybe it'll just be a demonstration tonight of how cropping can help you out quite a bit.
What I'd like to do, and keep in mind, you know, when you enter, we will review as many as we can, but we don't want to make this a 2-hour, 3-hour show. So we do have a few new people that did this month. So I want to do them, which was going to be the very next one.
Okay.
So we'll go to this one, and that is, we're going to get her name up there, Alicia May.
Yeah, Alicia May, I think. And then the person who's on the, now this one we don't have to screen share. Okay. Mike at all. This is, I just want to talk a little bit about this photo. Wedding photos are hard. That's why I'm not a wedding photographer. It's too much work. But immediately when I saw this photo, I'm thinking, oh, that's a good captured moment. It's well lit. You know, the important things that we look for in a photo are exposure and focus and all that kind of stuff. But again, composition. I look at this photo and I see this cool wall behind these two, but I see them plastered in the middle of it. So the wall isn't really doing anything other than just, it's a backdrop, and then that suddenly casts this photo into the headshot area. Like that's what we use with headshots, is just a fancy background to just kind of fill it in. I would have liked to have seen these two leaning up against the corner of this building, and then having this maybe in a more of a landscape mode where you could see more of that building in an empty space of and there's another photo in the regular group that makes very good use of this that I want to really demonstrate, because I think that that is one thing I see in a lot of portraits. Folks will get an idea. Oh, I like to use this as a backdrop. Put people in the middle of it, focus their camera, and keep them right there. They don't move, and they don't compose the shot. So there's much more power in the image if you put these guys where they're at against the wall and then give them a blank wall. This is going to subliminally push people right at them. And it doesn't work the same way as it does as if they're in the middle of the photo as a target. It then becomes a story that people want to, that generates their imagination, whereas a targeted photo is like more like a snapshot, and it doesn't really spark your imagination all that much. Right. It's two people, and this is their wedding. That's it, you know. And I say this because if you're going into wedding photography, it's all about creativity today. It's all about taking it to the next level. And you'll be the one who can go out and charge 10 grand to shoot a wedding and get that money and not be starving for work. There's a guy in my town, right here in my town, who is his name is Rick Backmansky, and he has a company called Photo Artistry, and he gets 10 grand a wedding, and he is busy in this little town all the time. But he goes everywhere. He's gotten so well known that a lot of his shoots are, in Florida or Cuba, or he's all over the place. But this is what he does. He gets creative with his compositions, and he tries these setups and this different kind of stuff. And it's a lot of work, and it's very hard. But when you're getting paid 10 grand for a job, you can bring other people in. He brings a second shooter and a makeup person in. I mean, come on. For a wedding, this is, their special day. You've got somebody who can tend to the bride's makeup and make her look amazing. And so, yeah, that's basically my idea here is it's a tough field. And if you really want to excel at it, then, start thinking in that sort of the creative compositions, I think.
You definitely can make money at it. You just got to work hard at it, too.
Yeah, it's a tough business.
Gary had a good out in chat had a good point that I was thinking about. Is in this photo the main face we're seeing is the male.
Right.
Typically, with a wedding shot, you're going to the wedding's more about the female. And so, what do you think about if they flipped them also with whatever they're doing? Where if you're only going to show one face, prefer the female face.
Well, my friend, I am kind of a progressive kind of guy. So I say it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I think equal time. So this is a funny thing. On Facebook today, the question came up, don't ever go up to a bride and say, congratulations to the bride, because it makes her feel like she got, she's homely and she got lucky to get this guy, sort of thing. You always say congratulations. And there was a big discussion about, what, doesn't that make the guy feel like he's a sorry sack? And, isn't it supposed to be like equal and all this stuff? So, yeah, I agree. I agree to a certain extent. It is traditionally been the bride's day. But I think in this day and age, too, it's kind of an equal thing. So as long as it's equal and not all just pictures of the guy, to get the point across, right? That's mainly what we're doing here. So, I think that in that case, I'd have to see a whole bunch of pictures from the wedding to really make it.
Yeah, we're only looking at one, right?
Yep.
Okay. We're going to skip to number 5, if you're okay with that. This is a new... you want to do 4?
Can we do a quick crop on number 4?
Yeah, of course we can, yes.
Okay. Because this was one that really stuck out to me as how a crop was. It was really apparent to me how wait a minute, your 4 is that's Kevin, and number 4 I have is Kenny. Sorry.
I was saying slide 4. So I was wanting to go to slide 5, which is the 4th photo. Yes.
Oh, so you were already going to the car?
Yes.
Let's go to the car.
Let's go to the car.
What a great idea.
That other one that we showed was Kevin Rivas.
Yes, and Kevin Rivas. Please continue to submit. You will get in the running. I'm sure, man. Your photo was great, by the way. I didn't have a whole lot to say about it other than it was framed out nicely and it looked good. So this one, though, this is where the whole idea of composition changes the image, and that's what I want to show. There's only one change I make to this photo, and to me, I want everybody to kind of see the difference between what it looks like now and really get into the photo. Okay. And I'll explain, why it makes a difference too as well, if you're not quite getting it. So let me switch over. You should be seeing my Lightroom and my little, boy, you are on that.
I'm on it.
Wow. Man. That is so impressive, Mike. I'm just blown away by that. All right. So this is an amazingly awesome image. First off, let me just say,
I really like this image. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it looks like a classic, either a T-Bird or an old Corvette. I think it's an old Corvette. And she's just like, come on, Dad. Come on.
Let me take it out for a spin.
Right. So awesome. But for me, she's in the center of the photo again. So my thing is with this photo, immediately I said, what is important in this photo? Me, it's the look on the girl's face, the steering wheel, and the empty seat next to her. It's almost like, come on, Dad, let's go for a ride. And like, you know, he's saying, no. And the reason why I say this is because the minute I changed one thing in the photo, a whole story in my head erupted. So I know a lot of people don't think the same way, but I just want to show you guys the change that I made. And it is just a crop change is all. And all I'm doing is I'm going to make her the center of the spiral just by doing that. And now you are you're right there with her. We don't have that window on the side that's kind of taking a lot of space. It also brought up another point. If you see the edge of the windshield that is kind of cutting off the upper right-hand corner here, if Dad or brother or whoever took the photo, I'm assuming it's Dad, would move up and a little bit more to the left, it would have moved that column out of frame so you wouldn't have this dark edge cutting that off. For me, I'd probably say to put a vignette on here to kind of continue the frame around the left side and dark around the bottom. But that wasn't really what did the power thing for me. For me, it was just pulling in there, putting her in the third, and really just getting us in that car. And none of the other stuff lends to the fact that we're in an old classic car. That steering wheel and those seats and the little bubble thing there with the dials on it, I mean, that just screams it's a classic car. It's like anybody who looked at that and went, oh yeah, it's a Tesla, is like, you know, they probably don't need to look at photos or something. So, but yeah, I just wanted to show him that. I think that just pulling that in just a very little bit, nothing else. The processing, the light is gorgeous. The subject matter is great. The look on her face is just priceless. Everything is great there. The choice of lens and the bokeh amount is just perfect. I just thought, you know, the only thing it was missing is getting her right into that third with the negative space, and it creates that story of, come on, Dad, I'm going to take you for a ride. And your dad's going,
no, you're
not 16 years old yet. You'll never grow up. I mean, suddenly the story of Dad just came, you know, into mind. So let me switch back for you there. So I'm glad you shared that one. That's cool.
Yeah, no, that was the one I wanted to go to next. That was a good one. And then let's do one more in the beginners.
Okay.
And this is another new entry person, so it's the last one in the list.
All right.
Somebody who's, I don't see him out there tonight, although my Facebook chat I'm not getting any updates there, so I don't know what's going on.
There's lots of folks joining us over here. Thomas Sandlin says that he uses Pixlr. That's pretty awesome. I have that. It's like a web-based app, I think. Right? That's pretty cool.
You're seeing the chat?
Yeah, I'm seeing the chat. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Maybe I'm stealing all your chat. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad Thomas got to see that. Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing, if you do want, Alicia May's out there too. I probably said her name wrong. But anyway, you have to get used to me saying names wrong. So, and Greg's out there too. What were we saying? Lost track of what I was saying.
We're going to talk about the next photo that you're going to.
We're going to go to the next one. So this is a guy who's usually out there watching live, who's from somewhere in Europe. Now I can't remember where he's at. Maybe Ireland?
Yes, he's in Ireland. Yes. I know where you're going with this one.
And so this one's is going to be from Willie Ford. It's his first entry. He actually entered both contests. Let me pull that one up. So this one here from Willie Ford. And it's his first entry that he's done.
Great photo. Willie's sandbagging over in the beginners group. I can spot a sandbagger a mile away. This looks like an HDR image to me. And if it's not an HDR, it might be just slightly pushed a little too far. That's just my personal taste. But when images start to take on an HDR-like look, unless they're lending to some sort of theme, which generally with HDR is grunge, and you know, that usually leads to like abandoned buildings and that kind of stuff if you're pushing the textures and that sort of thing. This to me is a soft morning image. I think I would have liked to seen this be a little bit warmer than it is. It's a little cold, so it's the purples are nice, and the sun is beautiful back there, but it has a cold feel to it. I think bumping your temperature up a little bit or putting a warming filter in there, and not a lot, but just enough to say, just enough to say you want to be here. You want to enjoy this moment. So it looks like a cold scene to me, which usually means that, unless you're a super fan of cold weather, but a warm walk in the sun in the morning when it's rising or late in the afternoon along the water is, I think, more appealing than a cold walk along the water. But it's a great, the composition here, Willie, awesome. I've looked at your other work. I've seen you post some other stuff. And I kind of make a joke about you posting in the beginners forum. You post all that you want in there and ask as many questions as you want. I ask this of everybody. I don't want to come off arrogant or anything like that, but I am willing to lend a hand to anybody out there, not just to critique their images. My whole goal is to give you a second pair of eyes and ideas that might spark your creativity and imagination so that you see these things when you go out, and that's just going to expand your library when you're shooting. So you post over there if you want to. It doesn't matter. More the merrier. So
yeah, and I do have four. We have four main groups. We have the regular, we have the beginner, we have the sports, and we have the boudoir. And you're welcome anybody's welcome to join anyone they want to, unless you're a spammer or mean. The run rule of all the groups is to be nice. The reason there's different groups is to make people feel comfortable in that group, so that if people want to post a lot about sports, other people may not want to see that. Right. And the beginners feel good. So if you're not a beginner, but you want to be in a beginner group, that's fine. And I'd love for you to help the other beginners that are in there if you do that.
Yeah, and I always post in the beginner group. It's just simply one of those things where, I have some images that I'm super proud of, and I always hope that people will see them and either want to go shoot them themselves and shoot them better than I do, or have questions about maybe my technique or what I shot with, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions over there. I monitor that the beginners site almost daily. So
very good.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, so let's move on over to the regulars group now.
I got to switch libraries. Okay, I can do that. And I have the power.
We'll start with number 1 as soon as I find it.
The Grand Canyon. Yes, let's put Michael Demagol right on the block, right to start out with.
You think I would be able to find? There we go. I found it. Let me find his name.
He's an old hat.
He is.
In the group. Yeah.
And you think I would find his name a little easier since it's my name. Oh, dear God.
I think he pronounces it Demagol. I'm really not sure.
Well, maybe while you're talking, I'll add his name again because I don't see it.
Awesome. Well, I'm just gonna, if you want to there, Mike, you can switch over to the LR. I do have a little bit of stuff to show on this if you want to put that up there, and I will hit this special button that I have all set up that has his name right there. and let me read a little bit about what Mike says about this image. I have it over here on another window, and I'll just read this out. It says it's a 180-degree panoramic photo of the east side of Eagle Point on the west rim of the Grand Canyon, which is pretty much the west and south rims are really cool to shoot on. I've been there a few times, and it's kind of the best vistas over there. He said the west rim is the narrowest and shallowest part of the Grand Canyon, which is absolutely correct. It's about 2 to 5 miles wide, about 6,000 feet deep. National Geographic, blah, blah, blah. Hopefully, he says he can go back next year and hike inside the Grand Canyon. Oh, man, I really want to do that, too. It's so awesome. We're fortunate to be there with a group, and Tony was not with us, although Tony has been with us on shoots out west. But we were there when it was snowing in the Grand Canyon, and it was, oh man, it was so cool.
Does it snow there on a regular basis every year, or is that a rare
every
event?
Year? Yeah, okay. No, every year. But we missed the fog event. Now there's a couple of times a year that the temperatures in the bottom of the canyon get to be one thing, and the temperatures in the top get to be another, and it causes the cloud base to actually fall into the canyon, so it looks like a canyon full of clouds. Cool. And I've seen it. I guess it only happens like once every 10 years or some crazy thing like that. But a buddy of mine got to shoot while he's out there, and he said it's just the most weird thing to see this, like, and they did like time lapses of it. It looked like it was full of water, you know. It was just really cool. Yeah. So Mike looks like he was experimenting a little bit with HDR here too. He doesn't say that in his image. And there was an important thing I wanted to show all you guys who shoot HDR out there. You guys all know that I'm a fan as well, and I love to shoot it. But I've learned some techniques to kind of disguise the fact that I'm actually using HDR unless I'm looking for a specific HDR effect. And I just wanted to really quick make 2 adjustments to this. We're trying to go as fast as possible. All I did was, this is a very typical adjustment, by the way, for any HDR image. When you bring it into Lightroom, go to your vibrance setting over here on the right and pull the vibrance down a little bit. And what you'll notice immediately is the blues start moving to the background a little bit more, and the shadows, it drains the blue out of the shadows, which is a problem with HDR. Every time you shoot HDR, all of the shadows, which don't get sunlight, which is, you know, golden, they turn blue, and it just accentuates that. So that's kind of like your dead giveaway thing that it's HDR. If you see blue in the shadows, you almost always know that it's probably an HDR shot. So if you pull the vibrance back, and now if you're feeling, well, it's a little flat, I want to kind of bump it up a little bit, I want a little bit of zip in there, then just now pull your saturation up just a tad. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring out the color and the textures, but it's not going to bring out the blue and the shadows. That's what the vibrance does, pulls back the blue and the shadows. So I know Mike is not in the beginner group, and I know it's not a beginner thing, but HDR is not a beginner animal, really. So I did want to point that out to him if he's looking to bring more natural images. And this is my aspect on it, and you guys can all have your own outlook, but when I'm producing an HDR image, I usually don't try to get an HDR effect with the actual HDR process. My whole goal with HDR in itself is only use it when it's absolutely necessary, which here it kind of is, because there's a lot of shadowy parts in the actual canyon itself that you want to bring out that detail. So you kind of, HDR will help you there, especially on a kind of cloudy day like this. But I would have to see what my camera says and what I see when I look through my camera. But make sure you're using HDR if it's needed only. Don't ever use it when it's not needed, because it just end up with a mess and shooting way too much. But when you're processing, try to process and think about only bringing in or accentuating the light that you need and not overdoing in other areas, and getting a nice balanced flat shot coming out of the HDR program. And then once you have that, then you can start opening up the creative tabs and work on your colors and work on, your masking and all the other things that go along with things that you want to do to your photo to bring that look out. So if you do that, you're kind of making an HDR negative, right? Or you're making an HDR raw file to start with. We always start with those flat raw files. So I just wanted to kind of help. I know I get a lot of questions about HDR and the process. And so if you can start with a clean file with no grunge, that means that you can non-destructively add your effects, add your stuff that you want in places that you want without, making people go, oh, that's an HDR image. So unless I'm completely wrong, Mike, and you're like, please tell me it's an HDR image. that was your main goal. I don't think it was. I think it's the beauty of the canyon.
Right.
And I know, Mike, have you ever been to the Grand Canyon?
A long time ago. You know what I remembered from it? And he did a great job with it. I remember it being hazy.
It is. And your dehaze adjustment on Lightroom is awesome for bringing that out in the image. So I did not play with any of that. I didn't do anything to his image other than just those 2 little adjustments. But if you watch, when I move the dehaze to the left, you'll see haze start to come back. See how it comes back to the image a little bit. And that's what Mike's talking about. Generally, when you'll go there and shoot, it's like there's a fog bank, but it's just the density of the air. But if you have the dehaze slider, it's absolutely a wonderful addition to Lightroom. I don't use clarity or anything anymore. And you can see here as I do this, the sky starts to really come out bold. And if it comes out too much, again, go back to your vibrance and pull that back. That'll pull the blues out a little bit more. You can see I can adjust the blues down, and then I can boost the saturation up again, and the reds will come back, because it's really about the red rock out there in the canyon. So
yeah, gorgeous photo.
Yep, awesome job, man. All right, let me get out of there. Go back to normal. Oh, you're so good. You're so good.
The timing was a little off there.
Yeah, right.
All right, so I want to do the next one because it's so different. Do you want to do that one or?
Yeah. This one's kind of inspired by a guest you had on recently, it seems like.
Yeah. This one is by Rolf Jensen.
Mm-hmm.
He has submitted before, and his is really different from everybody else's. And it goes to Scott Norris and finding simple things to shoot. Yeah,
absolutely. And in the minute I saw this, no offense to Rolf, but I don't know Rolf, and I know Scott. So immediately when I saw this, I thought of Scott, because this is absolutely something Scott would do, and he does, this amazing stuff. I would have liked to seen maybe the blue line, or maybe even another color, which would have been really weird. Because this is an odd photo, I think I would have liked to seen a line drawn from the pencil off the paper or something. That's what I thought. If Scott did this, he would definitely do some line doing something. But when I look at it, I'm torn. This was a very difficult image for me, because I think that the creativity is awesome, but there's a part of it that kind of bugs me a little bit, that colors are out of the spectrum. So for me, my logical side of my brain has issues with the first three colors there being pink, red, and magenta next to the orange, where it's supposed to be Roy G. Biv. He should have laid out the colors, I think, more in the color of the way they would lay out the rainbow. But maybe he had a reason for making it weird like that. But for me, it's like the one pencil sticking up is the weird part. Like, what was he saying? Like, blue stands out from everything else. So why put like more confusion on the other end of the spectrum there next to the white pencil and that? So I don't know. That's just my kind of art head coming out and going.
I wonder if you even thought of that.
I don't know this. I love the idea, and if anything, Rolf needs to keep experimenting like this. He needs to go over to Scott's house and they need to get together, because it's just Rolf. If you don't know Scott Norris Photography, check him out. It's photography, quote unquote. He uses photography as a tool, but it really should be Scott Norris Art. Because he just creates these awesome minimalistic images, just like you have here, and he's a great guy to study from. If you haven't done that already,
check out his 365 project, where he took a lot of great images of common stuff around the house.
And he went slightly insane doing it. I was with him for the entire time. So yeah, it's. But I love the image, and I love the fact that it's different from everything else. Right? That's the cool thing. So.
And Jan says, in YouTube chat, not a picture to show someone who has OCD.
Right. That's partially my problem, I do admit. We do have a question over on Facebook. Okay. Greg Crosdill asked about, back on the Grand Canyon image, would a polarizer help? And yes, a circular polarizer would help, or a graduated polarizer would help a little bit with that haze, but I don't know how much. Like, if it was an HDR, I generally don't put filters and then shoot HDR with a filter on, because the end result is usually not all that pleasant. So if you're trying to pull it off once in camera and just shoot it, polarizer, you can dial in all that stuff in the field if you want. I think today's kind of thing is, if you go out there and shoot, and you have to shoot around people an awful lot, and your time is limited and your moments are limited. A lot of us don't have, unless you live in the Grand Canyon area, you don't have the time to set up all that stuff ahead of time and prep. I love those guys who can, take the medium format camera out and all the filters out and wait for the moment. And they
Hours
waited
and days.
hours. And but I mean, that good on you, man. I don't have that kind of time. I mean, it just doesn't happen. So my stuff comes usually in post. When I take a photo, it's like I get all the information I need to do my work when I get back home to create the scene as if I had the filters and everything there with me. So just two, what is it? 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, I think.
Two trains of thought, or two minds of thought. All right, let's do the next one, because this, I don't remember this person submitting before. Carlos.
Yes, and I have an important thing to show you guys on this one too.
Carlos Larrea. Larray. I got the Carlos right.
Yes, you did. Asbury Park, New Jersey, on the boardwalk. So the funny thing about this photo, when I first looked at it, I'm like, why has he got taking a picture with his camera on a table facing a, because I'm looking at it going,
I didn't see it as a table until you said it. I saw it as the boardwalk.
Right. And I didn't think of the boardwalk until I looked at it and realized where it was at, and I saw a little bit of the stuff in the background. I found out something interesting, though, the more that I looked at this image, that it's actually an image of symmetry, but doesn't actually, I'm sorry, I keep looking over here because there's two things on this side. I'm looking at Facebook, and I'm actually looking at his photo on a big monitor over here. But I didn't notice until I started staring at it, obviously eyes, right, staring at it, that it was a symmetrical image, but it wasn't symmetrical. So this is a great example of an image that's very close to symmetry, but not quite there. And there's a rule in symmetry. It's either symmetrical or it's not, but you can't be close to symmetry, then you start confusing people. So I did a quick edit on this particular image, and I wanted to show you guys that. And this is super simple. If you have Lightroom, you can do this at home. Again, I still say $9.99 a month or $10 a month or whatever it is to have Photoshop and Lightroom as your main tools for something that you love doing. I hate to say this, please don't listen, Mac Fun. I could get along with no tools in my repertoire at all, except for Lightroom and Photoshop. And I really don't need Photoshop. So I could really, but I would, if I had to have one thing and I had no money as a photographer and couldn't afford these programs to run them in these tools, Lightroom would be the only thing I would have. Just saying, for $10 a month.
That's what I use almost all the time. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, give up your Netflix or give up your Hulu or one or the other or whatever. But that's the way I look at it. I'm like, dude, it's the price of like Netflix. Come on.
And if you really didn't want to pay the monthly fee because and I don't want to pay a monthly fee forever, even though it's only $9.99 a month, Lightroom is still sold individually. You can buy that outright. You
can win it, I've been told, for at least a year. Yeah, that happens somewhere around the internet. Happened last year and the year before. You never know. So yeah, let me pop the edit on here, Mike, and we'll go through this really quick. So Lightroom has gone through a lot of iterations. The one thing about buying Lightroom is you're going to get stuck with a version, and they're probably not going to update it down the road. That's the only thing I worry about, really, in the long run. The CC versions are updated all the time with new fun tools to play with. One of the tools they added a couple of years ago was called uprights. And all I'm going to do to this image is I'm going to drop just a couple of uprights on here. I'm going to straighten it up. I'm going to move the crop a little bit, and then I'm going to point something out to you, and you're not going to be able to look away. So here we go. So it's a little tool here under the transform tool, and it looks like a little, I don't know, looks like a tic-tac-toe board when you pull it out here. So the very first thing I'm going to do is draw a line right up this wall. What I'm doing is telling the program that I want this wall to be straight. So I'm putting it right on the edge of the line. So you can see it's quite crooked. All right, we're going to put one there. We're also going to pick on another line over here. I think what I'm going to use over here, because I'm not sure if this thing, I think this thing is like slanted. So I think what I'm going to do over here is I'm probably going to use the edge of the radio, because I know that's pretty straight. We'll get that right there. Now you see the image immediately straightened up. I'm going to put one on the boardwalk, because you make a tic-tac-toe board, and you can see this is kind of crooked as well. So there's a little straightening there. And then we're going to put one right across the top of the garage or the roof or whatever this thing was, which is very cool. All right, and we're going to put one right there. Now I'm not zooming in and doing all this accuracy stuff, but I just wanted to lay those down really quick to straighten the image. That's really quick and easy to do. And now I'm going to change the crop of the image. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down just a little bit and center it so those eyes, I'm going to unlock the cropping tool so that I can make my own version of this. And I'm going to turn this into an ultra wide image. Now, the only things I really cut out of this image, mind you, are the top of a building, which we already see that in the image, so we're not really losing anything there. I love the boardwalk. I want that to be in there. But to finish the symmetry, I really need to put those eyes right on the horizon line and make either this part the same as the bottom, so I can go like this, and the eyes will be a little low, which is fine. They're still closer to the center. And then keep these two side guys just about the same width as well. And when I do that, suddenly this becomes a pair of eyes with this cool natural frame around it. You notice that it has like its own frame, like a matting around. Yeah. And now we don't look at pretty much anything else other than like we're captivated in being pulled into the image. The color processing on this is awesome. I love the tone here. I love street art. It's like one of my favorite things. There's so much unappreciated art out there that people never see. I love going to New York and shooting it as well. So
can you do it before and after?
Yeah, I can. I actually just learned how to do it before and after in Lightroom. Here we go. Before is the backslash key. That's a before. So there's not a big difference, but it is leaning in. When you have a photo that's skewed, it tends to make people uneasy. And this isn't like, I don't want to be uneasy with these beautiful blue eyes and, you know, the water, it looks like that's being painted, you know, it just makes me relaxed. So we don't want it to be kind of leaning. It's an easy way just to straighten the photo up and be more matter of fact, where we're saying street art is the subject here, nothing else. Like the boardwalk is there, yes, that's fine, but it really is about those eyes.
Yeah, very good. Very subtle changes that made a significant difference.
Yeah, nothing big here, man. These are all great photos and having a blast with these. So let me switch back.
All right. Let me see what we got coming up here. You know, I don't know if I can do the spider thing. I had a spider event here in the house last night.
A spider event.
So I do not like spiders, and I won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but when you see a spider, when you don't like spiders, and you see a spider come on your desk, and then you lose track of where it went, you can no longer... you can
that happens all the time here, man.
You can no longer work in comfort, and... Eventually you get calm again and get back to your routine and figure out it must have moved on, until you find out it didn't move on, and it was right there on your right next to your keyboard. So,
or under your keyboard, or under the front of the desk where you have your legs.
Yes.
We get these little, like, and they're not little. I say they're little, but they're about the size of a little bit smaller than a quarter. Black spiders that are just they're fast. And when you confront them, they rear up at you like they're going to do something. Like you're just like, whoa, that little guy is like, come at me, bro. I'm like, I don't know if I want to mess with that little thing, you know?
All right, with all the spider talk, let's go ahead and do the spider one.
Oh, all right. This is Amber's photo, and I did want to show her, again, the power of the crop, because I felt that this image, that's all that was lacking here, and I wanted to talk about the power of subject matter. So this is a jumping spider. We get them all over our garden here, and they're just these little, that's a blade of grass right now that she has a photo on. That's really awesome. But for me, the whole story of this photo, what do you want to do when you see this photo? Now, not you, Mike, I'm talking about everybody else, but what do you want to do when you see this photo? You want to zoom in and see that, like, what is that? Like, even if it creeps you out, you still want to see it, right? So the very first thing that I did, and I'll share one more time. I'm stealing your screen away from you right and left here. The very first thing I did, the minute I saw this image, was I zoomed in. And then I went, oh my God, that has like a little like Alfred face on it. And he looks like he's going, madam, why are you shooting me? Get that camera out of my leaf. So all I could think of was like all of a sudden this voice came into my head. And what did that say to me when I heard that? Well, it wasn't, my horrible accent and all of that. What it was to me was there was a story created when I zoomed in. That was the main part. So let me just, Amber, I know you're out there. I know you like doing this stuff. He's kind of targeted. And this is, these little guys, they don't stay in one spot very long. There might be a drop of water in front of him. I can't really tell. And I don't know if you flipped your lens to do this. I know the trick is to flip a 50 millimeter lens over to get super close like this. So I'm not sure of all of the different things that you may have done here. This is just a suggestion to make the image more powerful for what it is. And this is really just super simple, but all it was I went to a portrait of the image, and yes, you do have to crop it in, but I just thought that when I cropped it up and put him right here with the rest of the world kind of out there on his own, to me, that was just like really funny in a way, and had so much character. And I don't have all that other stuff going on. There's a beautiful part of the leaf that I was conflicted because I really like this part of the leaf over here. And again, it could be cropped this way as well. You notice how I'm putting kind of his funny face in that thirds right there. Mm-hmm. That would be considered where we're looking at the spiral or the golden mean. But I wasn't sure if this kind of led me away, this extra kind of grass down here. You could easily, blur this out with Lightroom, but then you've got this blade of grass kind of hanging down that's kind of doing something too. So for me, the portrait crop was kind of like, oh, it's a portrait of a spider, ha 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 ha. And then he's got this little like gonzo face, like, yeah, like why? So I just wanted to share that with Amber, just to give her some ideas. The world of macro photographer, Don Komarechka, go check out his crazy imagination when it comes to that. Janice Sullivan Photography, she's got some amazing, she teaches macro photography. So if you go to her website, you can learn all sorts of things about techniques to use with flashes and all this kind of stuff. And of course, I would like to know, we've talked about this before, right, Mike? Mm-hmm. Please tell us more about what how you do your photos and how you made your photos so that I can better understand where you're at and what you're doing. I see here it says that she used a 105 Sigma now that I look at 2.8, which I'm not sure.
I think she used it at f8. I think it's a 2.8 lens.
Oh, yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
So so if it was in macro mode, this might be one of those occasions where you might want to use a flash and you might want to get that f-stop even higher. Yeah. So that you can light up the situation a little bit more. I'm not sure if you used a flash here or not. I can't really tell, and it doesn't say. And she makes a good point. I have a fear of spiders, but I'm slowly getting over that. I'll tell you an interesting story, and I'll give you. Mike will take the screen back now. When I was young, I had a bee's nest in an attic next to my bedroom, and we didn't know it. And while I was sleeping, several bees got into the room, and I got stung. My leg and 3 of my fingers lost all feeling. I got stung in the ends of my fingers, of all places, and I got stung in the corner of my eye. And ever since I had to go to the doctors, and I had all sorts of problems. Because getting stung by a couple of bees is one thing, but if you get stung by like 6 or 7 bees, it makes you really sick.
Right.
And so I've always had a thing with bees. And since we've had our garden, though, the bees don't I found out that they don't really care about me in their environment, and I can go up and film them and photograph them. And I've become a lot more, at ease with them around now, which I never was able to do that. So yeah, macro photography, seeing the world up close. And seeing funny little things like that little spider face, come on, Mike, you can't be scared of that guy.
I know that Amber's saying that she's slowly getting over it. I am not. It's not a goal of mine. It's not something I'm going to do. I couldn't take a photo of a spider and then edit it at home because I wouldn't want to look at it. Speaking of that, let's move on to the next image.
Mike's like, come on, man, let's move.
And this one, I don't know if he has submitted before. Let me get his name up there. Ebenezer.
Oh, this is the IR photo.
Ebenezer, I'm just gonna say Ebenezer.
Jaya Kamur. So let's
Kamur.
just go with that.
We'll go with that.
I jump in with both feet there. I don't know.
And he even mentions Don in his, because Don, you mentioned Don Komarachka does macro, and he does some fantastic snowflake stuff, but he also does infrared.
Yes, yes. Don has discovered the ultimate in inspirational cameras, which is to convert your camera to IR. There's a whole other world going on all around us that we don't even know about.
I've done that, and if you do that, you will be confronted first with which filter to pick. So there's one filters that you can pick that creates all these false colors like this one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then there's ones that go to the other extreme and really are just more black and white. And then there's some in the middle.
Yeah, this is probably somewhere around a 700 or a 720 nanometer IR filter, I think. And usually it produces a really red image, like it just comes out red. And then there's a special filter, you can download it off Google, called the red to blue camera profile. And you stick it over in your Lightroom, and it only works on photos that you take on IR cameras. You click the little red to blue swap, and what you normally have to put it in Photoshop and do all this stuff for.
Mixer,
yeah, it does. It channel mixes right in Lightroom for you.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and so it's really awesome. And the false color stuff, when you use a filter on the front of your camera, you can do IR, which is the basic way to do it, as long as the camera doesn't have an IR filter inside. So cameras have a little piece of glass that's over top of the sensor, and it's used to filter out UV, reflective, and IR light. So what we don't want is we don't want that stuff getting in there on the sensor and bouncing all around and causing contamination to our colors, or what we feel is contamination to our colors, even though they're there all the time. We don't see them. But the camera sensor would see them, and it causes problems. So there's a little filter in there. So when you have a conversion done, they take the little filter out, and they replace it with an IR filter, which only allows a certain width of light to get into the sensor. So when I say 720 nanometers, that means that that's that particular band of red light that we don't see, but plants see it and certain animals see it. And it allows your sensor to see it, because the sensor can see all light pretty much that's out there, all bands, unless it's filtered out. So I have a couple of IR cameras that I actually took the sensors apart myself and cut my own sensor glass and replaced the sensor glass and put them back in. And it was a really simple thing. It was a camera that didn't work. The LCD didn't work. So I was like, what have I got to lose? Let's find out what's on the inside of a DSLR. I tore it apart. I saw the little filter glass thing, and I'm like, wow. So if I want to try to make my own IR, filter in there, and I looked it up online. Sure enough, a guy showed you how you go buy a filter off the shelf and go to Best Buy or whatever and buy an IR filter. You get a glass cutter, you measure it out, you cut it, snap it, and you have a little piece of IR glass. And then you take that IR glass and use emery cloth, and you smooth all the edges and everything, get it real nice, and then take off the hot glass filter, as they call it, which is the UV IR filter that gets rid of those colors off your sensor. You take that off, and you put this one, and there's sticky stuff all around the sensor, put this one right back on it. So it's interesting. I learned a lot of things about it. I learned that you got to be very careful with dust and everything, obviously. Yeah. I ended up, I think, doing it twice because I got dust in there. The other thing you learn about is that everybody who's afraid to actually clean their sensors, you're not ever actually touching the sensor.
Yeah, you're touching the glass in front of it.
There's a piece of glass in front of it. So as long as you're not throwing sandpaper in there, it's pretty hard to mess it up. Yeah. I urge everybody out there to learn how to clean your own sensors. Sorry, photography repair guys, but for what they charge, it's ridiculous. And
we did a video during the show of that, and I always meant to go back and do one specifically just for that, to show how easy it was. I even did it wrong, and it still turned out much better. One thing
you have to be careful about the fluid that you use, but
one thing I would also about infrared images, if you're doing it with a filter, you go out there in the middle of the day, bright sunny day, you have to frame everything. focus and then put the filter on it, because after that you won't see anything through your lens, and you're
Right.
taking a long exposure middle of the day. If you have it converted, it's much more normal exposure times, and you can see through the lens.
Yeah, and that's the amazing thing too. When you have a camera converted for 720, it shoots in ridiculously low light because IR is just, it's everywhere. And it lights things up. And the thing that's nice about having it on the sensor with a live view camera is that you get to see the IR image coming out of the camera.
Yeah.
Like it, you know, it's pretty cool. So, but getting back to the point, lovely image here, by the way, and a good source with Don for the IR images. And I suggest, like, to anybody out there who wants to, who has stumbling on their, if they're stumbling on their creativity, an IR camera is your best friend. You don't need to take anything with it. You just take a lens and the camera and just go have fun, and you'll see all sorts of things you've never seen before. Leaves and trees all look alien, and you just looking through the viewfinder alone, you just want to go around with the viewfinder glued to your head because everything looks so wild and crazy. And I've seen, I don't know how many of you guys know Doug Kay out there. He's been experimenting with IR portraits, and I can't warm up to them because the what it does is it makes your eyes milky looking, and it makes the inside, the colors all black.
Yeah.
So it gives people a very zombified kind of look, and it just doesn't work for me. But it's interesting, though. It's an interesting study, and it's also, you know, helping him shape his creativity. So anything that does that is, yeah, for sure. Great photo.
All right. We want to move on to the next one. Oh, you want?
Can we show the portrait one? Because I have a trick in Lightroom that I want to share. I know we're running late on time with that, and then we can
find the portrait one.
It's the
one
rocks.
There we go.
Rocks, yeah.
And that's Spencer, and I think Spencer's new too.
Oh, awesome, Spencer, welcome.
Spencer
So
Sullivan.
this is an absolutely gorgeous shot. But there's some things about it that I think it could make it fine art level stuff. And that's what I wanted to show, how quick and how easy, and also a revelation that I had a discovery of today in Lightroom after all these years. I actually learned how to do something new myself. So I wanted to share that with everybody else. So I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay.
And so when you look at this image, I love that he's got the horizon in the upper part of the photo. That's great.
Three rocks.
He's got 3 rocks. He's been listening or paying attention to someone in the photography business. He knows what's going on. When I look at this image close up, though, and I don't have a lot of resolution to work with here because these are small JPEGs. Right. So just keep that in mind as you watch this. But what I found out today in Lightroom is, did you know that there's a way to do content-aware moving of things in Lightroom?
I don't think so.
I didn't know that either, right? So watch this. This is what I figured out. By using this little heel tool that we have here, the first thing I would do is I would remove this little stick that's in the water here, because this is nearing fine art quality. The colors are good for fine art. You've got the composition going on for you, but the stick is kind of like, it's a photo bomber. It's in there. It's not serving any purpose. It's taking away from the rocks. So if you hold down the shift key while you're clicking on this stick, you click at the beginning of the stick and you hold down the shift key while you're doing this. Click. Now you get that pops out and you think, oh, well, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to draw it along the stick. Don't do that. Just hold down the shift and keep clicking. And what it'll do is it'll connect all of them together. And you let go and the stick is gone. Wow. Just like that. So instead of trying to draw it on the screen, which is, you know, Lightroom lags behind you, it doesn't work all that great. Now, the second part of this gets even crazier. So when I look at the photo, let's zoom out here. The photos, if you were going to retake this photo, straighten those rocks out to go straight out into the lake. Okay, that's gonna tell people that it's just like you're walking into infinity, sort of thing, or into the beautiful scenery that I've captured in the background. So with it slightly askew here, it kind of has tension to it. This is a very serene scene. We don't want that for sure. So I'm going to straighten the rocks out. Of course, if you're going to reshoot this, you would just move a little bit, would be all you would really need to do. But I'm going to fix it in post, and I'll show you how to do that super quick. And it's using the same tool. I'm using the heal tool. This time, though, I am going to cut a whole rock out. And I'm going to start with the middle one because I want to get that one centered first. So I'm going to swipe. This time I'm not going to use the shift key. I'm just going to draw over the whole rock like so. And then I'm going to let go. And it's going to leave a big patch there that doesn't look right. I erased your rock. So now if we grab this patch, though, and we bring it back, you'll see something cool happen. The rock will reappear.
It's supposed to come back, yeah.
Right. And now I can move the rock over in the scene. And it's doing it in a way that it's healing everything around it. Now, if I can't get the rock over far enough, I can just move the one in back over, and I have space to move it there. So let's look at it now. You wouldn't even know. The rock got moved over.
Yep.
Just like that. All right, let's move the top rock over now. So let's do the same thing. Swipe across the rock. Let it find whatever it wants to find because we don't really care. We're just going to slide this back. Now this one's got to go over quite a ways. So I'm not going to get it all the way there, I don't think, in the first move. Yeah, that's as far as we can go, and it starts to disappear. So let's get most of it there. And then what I'm going to do is move the back one over a little bit more. And then I'll move this one over. And you can see we can get that one right.
Sliding it over.
Just sliding it over right in the center. And we'll take that out. And now you have your rocks going straight out. Now the bottom one needs to be moved a little bit too. I did that one as well. If I'm really shooting to make sure that it's absolutely perfect, I'm going to move the bottom one as well, just to prove a point that you can move all of these things. And this one looks like you're like, well, where's it going to pull all the information from? It doesn't really matter because you're just going to move it back anyway. So I can move this up, down, around, anywhere that I want to. It needed to go a little bit to the right just to kind of finish it off. Now I can't turn the rock or anything like that, and I don't want to. I really just want to make it like give him an alternative that he could have shot this with those rocks going straight out and really given it a straight line right out into the lake. And that's it. And it's all done in Lightroom. No big thing.
I want to see the before and after as the rocks shift over.
Okay, so we have, here's the before. Now I know this is a little thing, but it's when you're talking about like fine art images, if you look at all fine art long exposure images, they are usually this was one of those almost symmetrical, but not quite. So here's what it looked like before, and here's what it looks like after.
Yeah, that's so cool.
All done in Lightroom, no Photoshop crap, none of that stuff. And seriously, if I'm not talking and demonstrating, it took me a minute to just draw those things around, slide them around, and be done with it. And it's a gorgeous image. I highly suggest that if you live around here, do more of this. You're definitely on the right track. It's gorgeous, especially if you got this wonderful light. And always look for your border patrol, your little distractions. I went through on this image and I cleaned up a little spots here and there too in the foreground. I wanted it just to be the rock, the smooth water in the backdrop, because that's really what this whole story is here, right? So a little bit of border patrol, a little cleanup, and it was ready to go. And this would work great. I know it's wonderful color, but I have to tell you as well, I'm gonna cheat here and do a little self-promotion, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna pull in one of my presets is a high contrast black and white, and this would also look, when you're talking about fine art images, a lot of times high contrast images can make a completely different thing out of the image as well. So if you're talking about that, doing a black and white out of it, I would highly consider the high contrast look. So.
All right, very good.
Cool. All right, let me put everything back the way it was so I do not offend. I just hit that button a bunch of times. Oh, there we go. All right, cool. All right, back to you, Mike.
All right. We got another new one if you want to do this one, which is I think the very next image. This one is from Dan Holen. Let me pull that up. There we go. Dan Holen.
Holohan.
Holohan. Dan Holohan.
Yeah.
Senior.
Yes. So I wasn't sure with this image does he give us a story?
He says, I look at this view every day. I finally gotten around to photographing it. Then he tells us the settings. He actually says HDR and Lightroom CC to get the range.
Okay. Um,
And I think
well,
the
if he's
photos themselves back, the paintings and the pictures are not even on the actual wall, not from him
oh yeah, yeah,
photograph.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I was, a lot of times, if the photo is near complete, I would focus on something like that. For me, I guess I I didn't get the story from it. Um, I was trying to derive a story of some sorts from it, and I really couldn't get it. I didn't really understand what the overall story was, and I don't have any context to go by. Um, the window's definitely bright outside. Um, recovery of shadows inside. I guess I don't know what the beginning or even any of the frames look like here. It doesn't. I will tell you this. I had a suspicion that was HDR, but I thought it might have been like in camera or something because I really wasn't sure about its HDR-ness. I could tell that it was obviously to pick up light outside through a window. You usually need to do some exposures bracketing in order to do that.
What do you think if you added? You couldn't do this in post. You'd have to do this with the shot. But if you added a person in one of the side chairs, and they were, maybe a cup of coffee, looking out the window or something like that.
Drinking a cup of coffee, reading a newspaper. Now
Yeah.
you've got a story going on, right? Because you've added the human element. I just think that there isn't enough here for me to bring it beyond a snapshot. Even I see there's a reflection of him. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but right next to the tall vase with the daylily in it, there's a reflection of him holding his camera up.
I don't
It's
have
just his
quite
head.
enough quality to see.
Yeah, it's just his head.
Yeah.
It's a dark spot pretty much, but you can tell it's him holding the camera or the camera on a tripod or whatever. It's probably a tripod, seeing that his exposures were 13, 5, 8, 5, 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So
F22. First off, you probably didn't need to do well. Maybe he did F22 because he wanted to get outside, but I don't think you need to go all the way to F22.
No, I just wonder if he's experimenting with HDR and trying different things and brought it in for that aspect. And if you are, then definitely this is the way to do it, because any real estate photographer will tell you HDR is almost a necessity these days, unless you want to carry a bunch of lighting equipment with you to light houses with. So experimenting and doing this and finding out what brackets work. I will say it's odd to do 4 brackets. Usually it's 5, 3, 7. Yeah. And I will tell you too, I don't, let's see, what camera are we using? A D750, is that a full frame?
Yeah, that's a full frame.
Yeah.
That's a good camera.
Okay. So
a very new camera.
Right. So being a full frame camera, 24-70 lens is awesome. I love the Tamron 24-70. So I would say like a full frame camera with an image like this, 5 exposures generally. And again, I've talked about this before, so we can talk a little bit about HDR and we can move on to another photo. There's 2 photos I want to talk about before we go. With this particular scene, depending on how dark it was in the room, see how the window only takes up a percentage of the screen. When you put your camera on a multi-segment metering or a matrix metering, where it's looking at the whole scene and it's trying to decipher what is middle ground for exposure when you're trying to find these brackets. A lot of times that will not be accurate, because it all comes down to how much of the sensor is actually picking up and being read for that light. Generally, it's not the whole sensor. That's the thing with a lot of cameras. Now, newer cameras are starting to cover the sensor 95%, but older cameras, and some new ones too, it's much smaller, that target area. And usually a good way to know about that is how far out will your focus points go.
Right.
And that'll kind of tell you where your camera's sensor range is kind of done looking for light. So what it'll do is it'll look at this scene, and if it's super bright in the middle and it's casting halos through the window to the sensor, then it tends to think that the scene is a lot brighter than it is, and you end up shooting all upper exposures rather than lower. It's something that you just have to look at the scene and realize what's going on, and then don't let your meter predict. What I've told other people before, I think we mentioned this, spot meter, the center of the window where it's brightest, spot meter the darkest area you can find, and then average and make that your center, and then pay no attention to the meter at all.
That's what I like to do. Is use a spot meter.
It's a longer way to go about it, but it's a more accurate way. If you haven't learned how to just do it by eye, which is, you have to have live view. You have to have a good knowledge of your camera and the scene and what light does when it comes into a camera. So, the other way is a perfect way to practice. But my only advice is keep going, keep trying, and keep working on it for sure. It's good that he didn't push the HDR to the point where it's obnoxious. So
yeah, so good work there.
Really
yeah.
Good. Yep, absolutely.
So you said you want to do 2 more.
At least 2 more, yep.
So I definitely want to do the last one on the list. So if that's not one of your 2, then let's do at least 3.
Okay. The bridge is one that I would like to talk about.
All right, let's do that one next.
Ever so briefly.
And this one, we know this guy. He is... Philip is...
Philip, I got you on the block now, man.
He's awesome. I mean, his images that he submitted... are just generally awesome, and I love his post-processing. All right.
Yeah, all of that's great. This image is excellent all the way around. Great moment caught, wonderful focus, great depth of field, great light, everything about it. I like it, and that's what I wanted to say. If you look at this image, he's doing what everybody else has done. You guys are all capturing the images with good intention, good light, good this and that, but I'm not seeing like the composition, and a lot of times is not telling a story. Right out of the gate, this photo, if you don't get the story, then you might not be looking at the same photo I'm looking at. But this little kid is peering over the bridge in wonderment. I mean, and there's blank space, right? There's blank space that pushes us towards him. We're glued on what is he looking at. That is cool. And I don't wander in this photo a whole lot. When I look at it, I'm caught up in that sense of wonder. Yeah, and that to me is that's an award-winning image when you hit the home run. So excellent job in this photo, and I didn't have anything beyond that to say about it. So I just thought it was great.
Did you see the lens he used?
I did not. I admit I'm following poorly. Oh, the Rokinon 85 millimeter 1.4. Yeah, I love 1.4 lenses.
All right, very, very good. Which one did you want to do next?
Well, I think you guys picked a winner, correct?
We have not picked a winner. So I didn't mention the 3 that are the finalists. And if I remember them correctly, the last one that we haven't shown yet is a finalist. The Spider is a finalist.
Oh, dear me.
And then I'm sorry, I do not remember the 3rd one. I will find out, though, while we're talking.
The barn?
Nope.
The ship? The blue ship?
Put it in the hold on. Put me on spot. Where did I post that? Here we go. Yeah, the barn. Yeah, the barn.
Okay. So I like the ship. I like Amber's other shot. If you guys go into the group, you'll see these, obviously. Amber, amazing stuff on the other shot. I just did a quick crop and put the shot in the ship itself, the blue ship, in the lower thirds. I thought that made that a whole new thing. The inside of the art display looked like a sky and everything. Millen's photo. Go ahead.
Okay, you want to show Millen's photo?
If you want, do we have anybody new that we missed? Because I like to do the new people, make sure they.
Mark. So we have the car. That's from Mark Smith, but I don't think he's done it in it before.
Well, let's show the car.
Okay.
That's a cool shot.
Let's show the car from Mark Smith, and we should show the barn because it is one of the finalists. Mark Smith. Hey, I got that name.
Nice. Nailed it.
Yeah. And he says, shot this Saturday night at the local car meet. I don't recall the exact settings without opening my laptop.
Good, because we don't care about those settings. Good call. Good call there, Mark. No, actually, I say that every time. it's good to have those settings in there for people who are trying to learn. So if you want to put that, if the beginners are in there and they're looking around, they want to know what settings you use specifically. But when you bring a photo to a critique, the critiquer usually, the only time they want to know about those settings is if you're doing something horribly wrong. At 1/50th of a second, ISO 500, 3.5, I mean, yeah, there could probably be better settings than that, but you captured a great image here. I had a few questions about it that you didn't answer for me that I have to speculate on, and that's why we like to have, when you submit an image, tell me why you pushed the button. That's all I need to know. As long as I know that, I can decipher everything else. A lot of times I get EXIF data so I can see what that is, or I can make a pretty good educated guess as to what you were using. So, but when I looked at this image, I was like, well, what's the story here? So it's car night. I get that. Pep Boys. Kind of an advertisement for Pep Boys. I love the sky. I think that's a big plus. The wires drive me nuts. The street light drives me nuts because it's not doing anything for the image.
That whatever wall or something on the far right drives me nuts.
The wall that's sticking out. The two guys. The yellow car. I mean, what's the story here? If it's car night, I need to see cars, not just the butt end of a Camaro, it looks like, next to an awesome hot rod car. I think I would have... Here's what I do. Mark, next time you have this situation, find out who owns that rod. Okay? You go up, you find out who owns it. You're a guy with a camera. Dude, I want to take a photo of your car. I will give you a copy of it. Can you roll it over here so I can take a picture of it? You find a spot where that beautiful sky and that hot rod look amazing together, and boom, you did a bunch of things. You took command of the situation and you got a shot and you made the shot instead of just taking it. And you're also taking a step in communicating with people at events like this, which is going to lead to bigger things for you. So you did an excellent job capturing this image, but it doesn't really lead me to a story about the image at all. It just looks like a snapshot, a well done snapshot, because you captured the right time of light and all that stuff. But there's no composition here for me. It doesn't explain the event to me, a bunch of that stuff. So show a bunch of cars, show the front of the cars with the guys talking. Don't show me the Pep Boys sign. I know what your situation was. That sky is amazing. You got to get the sky. And that's cool that you wanted to get the sky, and I want you to get the sky too. But maybe it's, let's take a picture of the cars and the guys talking, and that's a scene, right? And then I'll approach the guy who owns the rod and say, dude, can we meet in the parking lot across the street while this sky is going on? I will give you a photo that you will just love to hang on your garage wall or in your house next to this car. And 9 times out of 10, he's going to do it. He's gonna take you, wherever. Yeah. And now you've made a connection with this guy. You got your shot, your documentary shot about people talking next to the cars during car night. Right now, it is one car night, as far as I can tell, with another car attached to it somehow on the side, because I don't see both cars fully there. I'd like to see the front of the cars with the guys talking it back. Get that Pep Boy sign out of there, unless it's necessary to. Unless Pep Boys hired you to do this event.
Yeah, Gary mentioned you could take a shot of the engine from that angle.
Absolutely, you could get the sky and that engine together, the chrome, the reflections. Think about all of that stuff. I mean, I know what happens in these situations. I've been in them. Sky, cars, shoot. Yeah. You don't think about, man, I should probably talk to that guy. It'd take me 2 minutes. The sky's still there. You usually have about 10, 12 minutes that you can accomplish before all of that changes colors and goes away. But a lot of times you can see it coming too. So I often hear people, it's be aware of your surroundings and see this stuff coming and start getting the gears going, man, I need to talk to somebody about if there's a nice sunset tonight or the sky is starting to change. Let's approach one of these dudes and find out. Maybe you get both of them. Maybe you get both of those cars out into an emptier part of the parking lot where there isn't a backdrop but those clouds. You get down low and you get the two fronts of those cars tilted together. Well, those guys know how to drive. They'll get them parked just like that in a heartbeat for you. And if they know they're going to get a copy of the photo, they'll do it even faster. So, yeah, I think it was a missed opportunity unless he got some other shots here. But it's well done as far as the the technical side of it is now just expand your horizons a little bit and get involved with talking to these guys. So it'll lead to big things for you.
Let's do the barn, because this was one of the finalists one of the 3 finalists. And of course, if you want to know who the finalists are, you can either look in the Facebook group, or actually I did a blog post on our website. So I shouldn't have had so much trouble figuring out who that was. Because I did the blog post earlier this week. So this one's from Greg. You know this person, Greg Crosdale?
He's a ringer. He is, and
I think he won the annual contest last year, the 2016 Best of. He did,
and I had to bow out of the voting on that, by the way. So my vote didn't count because Greg was actually studied with me at the Arcanum. It had nothing to do, I will tell you right now, with this shot, because this is one of those shots that, we all see it and go, damn, wish it was me that took that shot. Damn. Because, if that isn't barn on fire, I don't know what it is. That is just amazing.
That is an incredible sky.
Yeah. And that stuff just, you got to live where he lives and see it every day and have that opportunity. I get wires and telephone poles and, people's dirty laundry on wires and telephone poles. And so.
And I guess he's saying this is Ann Arbor, Michigan?
Yep. Yeah, gorgeous shot, Greg. Way to go, man. I'll tell you, I am disappointed in him, though.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
He was out there earlier. I don't know if he still is.
Oh, he's still here. He still is. He knows. I was disappointed because he didn't take his drone up. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Those guys like that, get that drone in the air.
Maybe he did just didn't share the photo with us.
No, he didn't.
Oh, okay.
I think he might have been sick at the time. I can't remember. His original post said something about, I thought he said that he was sick as a dog or something, but he couldn't help himself. He had to drag himself out to get the shot. I can't remember what it was, but I had to razz him about not flying. I said, dude, you didn't get up in the air? Come on, skies like that? I'd be trying to fly into it.
Yeah, he said it doesn't happen every day. There he goes. All right. Did you have another one in particular that you wanted to do?
I just talked about Amber's 2 shots this month were great. I think like I said,
I'll show Amber's other shot.
And the only thing I did to this one, and again, just to explain kind of the idea here, is I took and so for me, the doorway bothered me here. So this is an art installation. And I'm not sure if I don't think this is in Eastern State Penitentiary, but I think it's in one of the old prisons. They, a lot of times they'll open these up to the public and they'll allow artists to do art installations inside the cells, which is pretty freaking awesome. And you can see a doorway.
There's actually a lighthouse in St. Augustine, Florida.
There you go. So there's an art installation in the lighthouse. And for me, it's the light through the doorway that kind of messes up this kind of ethereal, surreal kind of photo. So what I did is I cropped it up from the bottom and put that ship in the lower third. So I'll show you real quick here. I got it on the screen and you can see what I did to it. That's all I did to it was take out that part on the bottom. Mm-hmm. And now suddenly the top becomes like the sky over the ship and the walls kind of look like the water, right? And you don't have that contrasting shadow at the bottom. Now, if you didn't want to crop it, you could go ahead and leave the crop out of it and then darken this area down here in the bottom. But I think that would kind of draw your eye away too. And that's why it was just a simple boom like that, 2 seconds. And now it's symmetrical and we don't have that extra light in there. And it kind of leaves you with a sort of mystery. Like the doorway was kind of a giveaway for me, like that that it was inside of an archway sort of thing.
Cool effect. Yeah.
It is very awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Great shot. Both of her shots were very good. Very good.
Very good. All right. Were you wanting to do the cityscape one? Whoops.
The only thing I had to say about the cityscape was wires, telephone wires, poles. I lose it when I see telephone poles and wires, unless they have some sort of like unless they were going for some sort of contrasting thing against the city and the country. I don't know. Maybe that was the thing here. Does he have a synopsis of what he
No,
was doing?
and I should have picked this one too anyway, because this is a new person also, William
Yep.
Alexander.
Yep.
In the comment just was Shade of Dallas.
Yeah. I love the cloud. I like the city. I like the idea of the field and then the city hidden over the berm there. But the wires in the scene, just in the buildings, the two buildings that are over there too on their own, just don't finish this. They don't balance it off with the bush that's on the other side, which is a little weird as well. I think it's a great idea.
I don't know what you could other than a lot of cloning to get rid of all those things, or just another angle.
Right. This is one of those things. I always love to make this suggestion to people and why it's awesome to see images like this. If you live in and around the Dallas area, your job pretty much is to find a shot that works around there and use these tools that you've learned. So this is I love the way that the shadow is not the clouds that you see, but the clouds that you see kind of mimic the shadow. I think that's pretty cool. So I like the idea of the shadow on the grass and everything, and the city over the berm, and kind of the contrast between country and city. But the power lines going into the city don't really, they don't help the image at all. They're a big detractor for me.
Yeah, me too.
The rest of the stuff I could live with, but that, that's the part that I lose it.
But good submission there, William, and keep
Absolutely.
submitting.
Do more. Yep.
All right, let's do this last one. This is also from a first-time submitter. He did submit it in both contests, though. So this is the second time.
What's going on there, Willie?
The second time we're going to see an image from Willie, and this one was you said Willie. I mean, Willie Ford. There we go.
Willie Ford. Yep.
This one also was one of the finalists. So this is the third of the finalists, not in any particular order. And I like this image. I'm looking at this image. I see a lot of differences between. This guy's probably just out for a walk. And Willie, did he tell us anything? He gave us a lot of text. I'm not going to be able to read all that. But anyway, I look at it and see differences in generations. Here's a guy who's probably just out for a walk. He's got his dress shoes on, his suit that you can tell he wears a lot because it's wrinkled in the back, a cap on. Me, I'm out in that walk. I've got tennis shoes on, shorts, and maybe a dry fit shirt or a regular shirt, no cap.
Yep.
So not that it has that much to do with the image. I just saw all that when I looked at it.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of backstory. I'm going to tell you right up front, Willie, you don't need any backstory. So this is an image that is compositionally done well, tells its own story of a journey in life, of a gentleman with dignity, walking down an old country road, kind of the old school way of life, and he's just moving on. And I think that whole story, people will be like, oh, the trees here and that's there. I don't care. It's powerful enough as it is. He said he did process it in black and white, and that was my first thought. The color tone palette to me needs a little work here. Other than that, though, the image is a perfect image as far as everything else goes. Well captured. The softness of the grass along the right-hand side there's just perfect. So yeah, I think that for me it would be like I'd tone the image is what I'd do. I think it needs to be toned if you're not going to go with the black and white. He mentioned that the black and white was a timeless way to go, but he liked the color, and that's personal preference always. Yeah. One piece of advice I will give every photographer out there: if you're in a private forum and you're trying to learn, it is perfectly acceptable to post a color and a black and white version of the same image. Do not do it in public. Never, ever post the same photo in black and white and in color and say, which one do you guys think is better? It just shows that you don't know what you're doing. And you're not going about it in the right way to learn how to do it. Do it in a private forum where that sort of creativity thing is going on, and you have people who can give you answers and good dialogue with you in return. You can't just put it out there and say, which one do you like better? Holy cow, really? So that'll come out 50-50, I'll guarantee you. You're never going to get the deeper
Right.
you go, the more diluted your answer gets. That's why polls sometimes are kind of wacky. It's okay if you're saying, well, I was going for this. This is what I wanted to express with the photo. Which photo do you think works better? That's the way to ask that question. Don't just put them out there and say, and I see this happen all the time, and it drives me absolutely nuts. I never answer because I'm just like, no, you've got to go through this and learn that this is not the way that you go about doing this sort of thing. So he made a choice, and that's awesome. I think if you're going to go with color, tone the image or grade the image a little bit. It looks like it needs to be graded, whereas you're getting some of these tones and things to work together. So other than that, it's excellent. Right up there in the top picks for the images out of this group. I had 3 images that I thought were clear winners in my book that I had nothing more to say about. And this was one of them. So.
Good. I love this photo too. And I would love to sometime have you show us color grading and how you,
Sure.
how you do that.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, that was the last image in the view here.
Woohoo!
I'm seeing some circling on Facebook. I don't know what's going on there. So hopefully,
Circling.
y'all are still getting the signal. It all looks strong everywhere else for me.
Yep.
All right. Let me bring us into this shot. There we go. All right, that was the last image. We do need to pick a winner of the Lightroom preset contest, and we have lots of new people this month. So if we're going to look for somebody like a new person, we got lots to pick from. Do you want us to head out and silently do this, or do you have somebody in mind?
So many good shots this month.
And lots of new people to pick from.
And this is in the regular
It can be either
correct?
one. It can be either one.
Yeah, and you have the list. Yeah, we probably should. Why don't you go ahead and give them the logo for a second? Let me ask you a few questions.
Hold on, guys. We'll be right back. And I do have a list of all the previous winners, so we don't give the same person one.
That's exactly what I need to ask you.
We'll be right back. All right.
Ta-da.
Now we are back, and I'm all messed up. So hold on. I have to get ready to pull up her image.
Oh, see, this is where I could help you out, bud. I could have her image all ready to go.
You want to have her image ready to go?
It doesn't matter, man. It's totally up to you. I have it here. I was actually looking at it when.
I can do it. I can do it. That's fine. All right. So the winner of AD's Lightroom preset pack is Alicia May. Congratulations, Alicia. I will in just a minute go out there and we'll show you AD's website where you can go get that stuff. I'll contact you later with the code to get it for free, and then install it in Lightroom. And we love giving it to new people and people we think will benefit. Oh, there goes AD. He's showing us right now. So let me pull you up so people can see that. There we go. AD's Photo Tools store and his brand new web server.
Yeah, web server. Yeah, that's it. A lot faster now, folks, and it actually works if I click on the right button. It's very small on my screen right now, but yeah, so it's a lot faster and a lot more secure and works a lot better now. So I'm looking forward to putting on I've got some new presets coming out very, very soon.
Awesome.
Yep.
I know that dealing with as a photographer and as me as a podcaster, dealing with website issues always feels like such a waste of time. But unfortunately, sometimes we have to do it. And you just recently changed your host from Bluehost to DreamHost, right?
Yes.
And I have been a DreamHost user for almost 10 years now. I have to look and see exactly where. I moved a few sites over to Bluehost to give them a try. And, there's never a perfect host.
Right.
So I was giving somebody else a try and turned out that I hated Bluehost. And I moved everything back over to DreamHost. They're not perfect. But I don't know what server you got. I have a VPS over there. There's the old school VPS gave you unlimited RAM, not unlimited RAM, unlimited bandwidth, unlimited storage, but then limited RAM.
Yeah.
And I have one of those old ones. The new ones I think they're selling now have unlimited bandwidth still, but you you're limited on the storage and on the RAM. But they're priced better.
Yeah, I got the 60 gig, 4 gigs of RAM, and unlimited bandwidth with a virtual. I have the VPS, and then I also have I added on a secondary server for my SQL databases, which feeds all of the sites, and that's also got another 3 gigs of RAM and another processor and another unlimited amount of space. So.
Yeah. Very good. So if you're looking for that, I speak highly of DreamHost, and I even have an affiliate link on the website if you want to click on there. Let me pull us back to us. There we go. And
Split. I
will say that if you run a website like a WordPress website, PHP 7, if you're not on PHP 7, 5.6 forever has been the standard, and 7 has been out for a little bit, but it's now released and approved, or whatever you say. It's been tested. It's made a world difference for me. It's much faster. So I don't know if you're on 7 yet.
No, is the migration just changing it in my host?
Yep, just go into your domain or whatever it is and clicking that. There, on the off chance there could be some compatibility problems, are the forums. So I'm not going to probably show that tonight, but JPEG Leroy has forums that no one goes to, but it is not compatible with 7. I found that out as soon as I upgraded, so I've actually moved them over to another server so I can stay on 7 and do that.
Is it, and I know this is outside the scope of photography, but just quickly, let me just ask you, what forums are you running?
We are running an IP board.
Okay, all right.
Which is it's a nice board. I like it.
But anything that runs like BB Press and Buddy Press that both run under WordPress should just work fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should.
Well, I know what I'm doing right after the show.
So, yes, it's fairly easy. So now speaking of the website, let me show you how you can enter, because if you want to be one of the images that we do later, how you enter is you go to JPEG to RAW.com and go up to photo contest, photo contest entry, and then you'll come to this site, and you can choose either the regular group, or you can choose the beginner group. The beginner group, the July theme is open, so no theme. And actually, I think for the contest we just reviewed, there was no theme for either one. So you don't have to worry about that. Then for the regulars group for July, the theme is summer. Somebody did point out to me it's not summer everywhere in the world, so you may have to get a little creative because you do have to take it in July of this year. So sorry if it's not summer in where you are. If you are a member of Facebook, the easiest way, of course, is just to either go to the beginners group on Facebook for JPEG to RAW, or the whoops, that's not the right one. Where's the right one? Or to the regular JPEG to RAW group.
Did you lose a group?
I did not. I think I clicked on it and had something else to it. So the regular group here. So you either go to the regular group and enter that. The contest is always posted at the top of the page, and you can go there and enter that. If you don't know, because I've had people who, how do I enter an image into the contest on this album? Because they have a struggle with that. Not everybody uses Facebook all the time. I have a link here to an article where I wrote that will walk you through the process of how to enter into the album. So should have all the bases covered. There we go.
Very cool.
That's how you do that. So that's this one. Now, if you want to get this, we're on YouTube, of course, the live one here. I will put this one over into another playlist, but the edited version will be out in a few days. We're also on Vimeo and on iTunes, Video Large and Video Small, so you can get it from all the different places. We don't put an audio version out of this one because who wants to listen to this? You need to watch it. So you can subscribe on any of those things. We'd love to have you subscribe on YouTube or share this Facebook video too. That would be good too. I see a number of people have done that. We do it once a month. We'll be back next month to review the July images. So until then, keep shooting. Good night.
See you guys.
All right. So, yeah, I was excited this morning to see your website was up. Hopefully they do you well, and I know you got a number of them to set up. Were you able to just copy the databases over and copy all the files over?
No. So what I ran into was, like I said, the SSL certificates wouldn't clear from the domains. So when I moved them, what I found out is I had to turn the sites off SSL first, then copy everything off, including the database, onto the new server, and then once they're on the new server, then switch everything back on. It didn't, because my certificates don't carry over from Bluehost, because my certificates on Bluehost were through Cloudflare, and then when you go over to DreamHost, they're issuing their system, which is what's the company there that does the free certificates, base level certificates. I can't remember what they're called. My head's been in a spin because I betcha. That's all they've been doing. Yeah, I didn't know the thing about PHP. I shied away from it because I was like, well, I know 5.6 works, but man, if 7's working and I know it's super optimized, I'll switch that over in a heartbeat.
Your site is already so fast, but for me, I was having a little bit of performance issues. I was watching my CPU, and I don't know if it was. I think Gravity Forms was causing me the plugin Gravity Forms was causing me some issues because I would sometimes my RAM would spike up to 100% and Gravity Form. I mean the CPU would go way up on that thing, and you're not getting to the second reporting there. It's definitely delayed. I don't know how often they poll it, but I would deactivate Gravity Forms and it'd go back to normal. Like wow. So I even deleted it and brought it back. But once I upgraded to 7, I've never had a problem with it again. So I don't know if Gravity Forms made some change that required 7 or what the deal was.
Yeah, and so I can just switch on a per site basis too, right? So
yep. So if you want to test it on something to see if it breaks anything,
I'm gonna do it right now because it's so easy to do. Yep.
It may take a few minutes for it to work its way through.
Why not do a live test on my own site just to see if it works?
Are you using any kind of caching?
Nope.
Wow, it's
And
really fast for no caching.
That's what blew my mind. I think DreamHost has it already caches to Cloudflare. I think they already are. They're already CDN'd and everything on the back end.
Okay. Because I'm using WP Rocket.
Yeah, I did. I had the W3 Premium cache, whatever, but it's so difficult to get set up with SSL and get it to not blow up. One button and suddenly you've got to go back and repair your database because you can't get back into your site. SSL is a beast because once you arm it, it basically is looking for that certificate, that security certificate, and if anything's wrong, you're out. You can't get back in of your own site because it's basically the DNS is like, it's not a real site. You're not getting in. So then you got to FTP and you got to go in and manually edit the database, which I'm really good at editing tables in the database, but I don't like to do it because it just takes forever.
Yeah.
And that's not how I want to do things. So, all right, here we go. This is my site. So fast CGI, right?
Yep.
Zoom. Here we go. Boom. I switched it. Do I get a boom wow or do I get a boom? Oh, crap. I blew it up again. All right. So it says 10 minutes. And we can see how blazingly fast. I'm going to need this to be faster and more efficient because, like I said, there's going to be 23 websites on this server.
What we should have done before we made this change is did like
speed it.
Yeah, do a page speed or the G metrics or whatever it is.
Well, my G metrics and page speed scores are horrible. They're bad.
Because we should have seen if it made any difference.
It's because like the reporting on my theme for some reason, like above the fold, caching and all this stuff. I know it's all on, and I know it reports that it's on, but Gmetrics and PageSpeed like to tell me constantly that it's not on, and I'm like, compression is on.
What I would look at from there is your load speed and that kind of stuff, and forget about their score thing.
Yeah. I just, I know for me, there's no caching going on. I empty the cache here on my browser, so I know the browser's empty, so I get a real life, like how fast the site is, and I'm totally impressed with DreamHost compared. Now, I know that I don't have 1,000 sites running, on the same server, so I get that, but I did move over already my big beast sites, which is Travel Obscura, and my site gets the most bandwidth out of all 23 sites. Yeah. So I'm pushing a ridiculous amount. Let's just put it that way. I don't want to even say, but the amount of visitors that I get per day and are of unique visitors is pretty high, and it really does take the biggest toll. So I figured, well, I'll move mine over first, and we'll get a performance review. But I've got 30 days, and then I've got to make a choice. Because I've got to pay them, So
I told you I've been with them for a long time, and one thing I did that they've never said anything to me. Anytime they say unlimited, anybody says unlimited, it's not truly unlimited.
Right. Yeah, you were saying.
But when you download from iTunes or from any RSS feed, the JPEG Raw, not this show, but our main show, JPEG Raw show, it's actually coming from my DreamHost shared server. I still have a shared server over there, and it's like I think I have 200 gig worth of files over there, which generally they're on a shared host they're going to say something about, and I'm getting over 1 terabyte of bandwidth coming off that thing every month for people downloading the files.
That's amazing.
I've gotten nervous as it's gotten so big. I've gotten nervous that eventually they're going to say, "All right, Mike, enough is enough. We let you go 6 years doing this." So I've started to move off the files to a real media host for podcasting, and so to take the load off of that. And eventually, my plan is to kill that shared host and move it over to one of my VPSs. But I've been pleased with them.
I am on PHP 7.0.14, so it is switched over already.
It's switched over. Nice.
Yeah. So I just have so I run Easy Digital Downloads, which is how people download my tools on my website. So that has a reporting tool that tells me everything about my server, basically from a query box. So it says we are switched over, so and it's running smooth.
And where I saw the biggest difference, AD, was performance of the site seemed within the range of where it was before because it was already good, but where I saw was the CPU and the RAM usage went down. So if you're getting hit with, you have a bunch of sites and you're getting hit with a lot of traffic, it should help you on those two things too.
Well, that's good to know because I know that was an issue. They wouldn't do anything at Bluehost. I mean, I had to strangle them just to get them to do little things over there. So, yeah. But awesome. I'm happy to be on this thing.
Awesome. And then when you have some time and want us to talk about vMix, I'll be more than happy to help there.
Yeah, for right now, the problem with me is that I'm so busy with, like, we did a webinar on Monday, we did a webinar on Tuesday, we have the big release on Thursday. I don't have time to learn anything new right now and get it in the mix, for the lack of a better word. So I'm going to stick with OBS for now. But I like the way this is set up, and I like that its virtual capabilities. I just need to learn more about like how to resize some of these windows so that I can edit them better. And
you get, I think it's a 60-day free trial, full functionality. There's multiple levels of the software. I think you have the free trial is one from the top level, which is an expensive version. It's like $1,200 for that version. So you will lose a little bit, but probably stuff you don't care about. So if in those 60 days you want to talk, or if you run out of the trial, you can always, I think, maybe use a different email address and get another trial.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how they did it. Like my trial ran out, and I loaded it up today, and it just ran. So, so this is weird. Yeah. So remember I told you that now it's back flickering again. I don't know what these settings are up here. It's really strange. I don't know why it's flashing back and forth between my webcam and the browser that I had open, which I have selected as a yellow thing, and I don't know how to arrange windows and.
You talking about the little menus at the top?
No, down at the underneath the two preview windows that I have with the slider bar.
Right.
I don't know
how to share your screen.
Whoops, sorry. No. That's what I don't understand. I know how to do the little slider thing and switch back and forth, but I don't know. Like I have three things here. I have a desktop, I have a browser, and me.
Yeah.
And I had it set up with a virtual window where I had me over top of Lightroom, so people could still see me talking. But I couldn't get it. Every time I opened that up to display, it would shut off the camera in the view, and then I couldn't make it a source. It's really weird, and I wish you could see. Well, maybe you can. I do this. And then share the screen with you, you'll see it. Or it'll blow up, one of the two. So let's try it. You never know. Flick. All right.
I'm seeing your webpage, yeah.
You're seeing my webpage, so I need to click that one and then do that.
Here we go.
All right, so you see the window on the left, right, over here?
That's the preview window.
Yeah, so that one, if it's a preview, like, isn't it supposed to preview like the source that's coming up?
Yeah, so when you click that should be what's up.
See, that's what it's doing right there. Do you see that?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
I do not know either. What your resolution I'm getting is pretty low. Go into settings on the upper right-hand corner. Do you want to do this tonight, or do you want to just...
just this one thing, probably, because I don't... It's set up for 1920.
Go to performance.
Yupper.
See what you got there. And
see, I have. This is I don't understand either.
Got the card multiple times.
Well, I have two cards. Okay. I do have two, but I don't have three.
Yeah, so I only have one card, and it shows mine 3 times. I just leave it on default.
Is it because you have 3 monitors?
That could be. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me either. But now, like, watch when I switch it. I don't think it, like, and I'm going to restart it, and that's going to blow things up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to restart it.
What was I didn't see what the other choices there were, because mine has a lot more choices. What version are you using?
Oh, I just updated today to 19.0.0.54 x64.
That's the most recent version.
Yeah, it just came out today. In fact, before I did this call. So I was trying to set
What's
it
that
up.
one-click checkbox underneath?
Enable Optimus graphics capability. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Optimus
So,
Prime.
and is that clicked? What's the thing the
No,
box
it's
is
not clicked.
clicked?
Low latency capture.
Yeah, click that off.
Okay. It won't change anything.
Yeah, probably not. But I know on mine, I've gone through this a bunch of times to try and to get it good, and I've clicked it off. Click it, show advanced settings, and let's see if down at the bottom.
Show advanced settings should not be changed unless instructed. Oh, yeah, whatever.
All right, here we go.
Oh.
So the output format YUY2 is what I have.
Yeah, that's not selected properly. That's
Video-
still flickering.
Video recorder EVR is what I have.
For renderer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Preview skip, we don't need to worry about that. Application priority normal.
Yeah.
Then the automatically convert, I have that unchecked.
Yeah. It says it's active right now.
Disable effects on input previews, I don't have that checked.
Okay.
And then it looks like the rest of it I have the same as you.
Okay. I'm afraid if I touch this, it's going to say, you want to restart, right?
It might, but you could just...
Okay. I'm going to say no, and
Yeah.
I'm going to go back in here one more time, and I'm going to screenshot it so that I have it, and then I'll do it later.
And that doesn't look like it's fixing your problem, but it, these
Well,
are
it isn't
steps.
applied it yet. I have to restart to apply it, and if I do
That's
that, I think Skype will die.
Yeah, and these are just, we need to take these steps on the way to get there.
Well, hey, my mic isn't through this, so I'll just audio it. Let's just see what happens. If
Okay.
it dies, I'll call you right back or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Oh, that time it says it's okay. What?
Yeah, it probably didn't, it probably is not going to enforce them until you actually...
All right. So if I just turn that off and on, does that do it?
No, I think you got to actually restart.
So I just restart at this point. I don't even have to tell it. All right, I'll be right back,
Yep.
folks. Wish me luck. Hey, yo, there it goes. All right, you lost my face. Oh, look, it just froze my face on there. That's good.
Yep, so we can still hear
wait.
you, yeah.
Yeah, we'll wait for the screen because I don't run my audio through that. I actually run my audio just straight into because I'm going to your call,
Right.
so I run that straight into Skype. Let's see here. Where'd it go? vmix 64. All right, here we come back.
Why is this, why...
Oop, came back full screen. I can't see anything.
And for me to
And
see anything, you have to do hit the external button at the bottom.
External. All right,
Oh, all
external.
green.
Hello. That's
that
because
what
I
you-
don't have anything selected yet. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me give you an input. Add input. Because I didn't save that either. I just really am
Yeah.
camera. That's
It
what I
looks
want.
like
And
Facebook is stopped. What's up with that?
Facebook is just quit. No, it's still going here, man. I'm telling you, you think it's stopped, but it's going. Huzzah!
Oh, my
Right.
goodness. What is happening now? You're all green.
Dude. That is weird.
What is happening there?
I don't know. This is the settings you told me to use.
Yeah, you are pink.
So let me just tell you, the preview is perfect right now in my screen.
Huh.
So I don't know why that is.
Maybe are you sending to Skype 1080p?
Yeah.
I think that Skype can't handle that from this kind of output. So let me
But-
check mine.
Didn't it handle it through the whole show all right, or was it screwing up?
No, it wasn't screwing up, but yeah. So that's a good question. I don't know why it worked. Let's see. What do I have here? Out.
What do you want me to
External.
send it out to? 720?
Yeah, that's what I'm using on mine is 720.
Okay, I'm sending 720 now. At least it says that's what it did. Maybe I'll turn external off and back on. So it's off and back on. No, and now it does this every time. It says capture device is still in use, so it won't do it.
Oh,
I have to restart vMix again.
yep.
This is the only reason why I can't run it in a production environment yet, because
Oh yeah,
I could
yeah.
never have this happen in the middle of.
Absolutely.
That's why I didn't do anything during the broadcast. I'm just like, leave it alone. Don't do anything.
I tested probably put 100 hours worth of work into vMix before I started using it, and I still screw up sometimes with it.
Oh, it looks like it's going to be an amazing thing. I mean, I want to get it to work right.
It is, and if we get to the point where you really want to use it, and I have reached the point of where I can't help you anymore, I know some guys who are far more advanced with it than me that could help you out. If you decide you really want to use this, I'm a big fan. I love it.
That's so weird. So, all right, let me just do external. Now it will not let me go external out to you now. That's weird. So
when you hit the external button, it won't go live?
No, it comes up with the thing and says send an error report and blah 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 and vMix editing streaming or external renderer. Oh, I have to turn that. Is that? Maybe that was the problem. Hold on, let me check that box. Check this box. So many boxes to check.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
It's pretty powerful.
It is. Yeah. It will make use of your video card as far as the renderer. So it's really light on the CPU. Like I'm right now pushing 22% on the CPU to do this show.
That's amazing.
Which is insane. I do offload some of the work to another computer using NDI. But
right.
All right. So you have.
I'll send you that for a while. That's fun to have.
XSplit. I still have XSplit.
I'm going to try rearming this thing, but it just keeps erroring out saying that the renderers are already being used, which I don't know where it's being used at. Are you using the 64-bit version, by the way?
I am. Yep.
I wonder if the regular version will be all right. See what happens.
It doesn't use a ton of RAM, so I don't think it's necessary. And probably at some point they'll kill the 32-bit.
Yeah, it started from scratch too, so that's great. I don't even know what's going on here. Let's try the external button. Yes, it went external. Hold on. So we got that. Now let me add the video camera in again.
See if you're gonna go psycho.
I'll save this at some point. So built-in video format is MJPEG Go. And I look good there, well, as good as I can get. And then we'll hit this button, and it's flickering even worse now than it was before. But I bet you will see me because I see me, and there I am. Ta-da!
There you are. So,
yeah,
back. I don't know if we made any progress. You
I'm
still got it flickering?
It's flickering, so it's not as bad, I guess. No, it's as bad. You know why it's not flickering as bad? It's because I don't have a second source. The minute I put a second source in, it's like right now in the preview window, it's supposed to be showing a blank because that's what I have selected as the next thing coming up, but it's still showing my video camera. It's weird. And I don't know why. Maybe it's SLI. Maybe it's a problem with the two cards SLI'd.
No, I know it won't take advantage of both cards. It only will take advantage of one of them, because I know people who have gotten SLI cards in their systems and wanted it to use both, and it just won't. It's only going to use one.
I would think that would probably be the issue then.
Down at the very bottom, it's going to say like 1080p, 30.
Yep.
Then off to the right, it's going to say render time.
Yep.
In milliseconds. What is your render time?
4 milliseconds.
Okay, so that's not a problem. What would happen if it got too high is you start to have video audio sync issues.
Right.
And then the CPU and all, and as long as you're below like 70% on CPU, you should be fine there too.
CPU is 4%.
Yeah, so that's not the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, the flickering is super fast. So for me, it's like,
that
it just
sounds like an interlaced problem. What kind of cameras are you bringing in? Is it USB?
Logitech USB 3s, yeah.
It's like a C920 or something like that.
I'm on full screen now over here. That's working. You can see my mic, and it's weird.
Yeah.
There. Too many screens at once. I don't know. I'll get it figured out.
Yeah, so I'm using this Logitech C920s.
Yeah, that's what
I bring them in only, even though my scene is like yours, 1080p. I'm only bringing them in at 720p in
Right.
the format of MJPEG, I think is
Yep.
the format
I
they
use
come
M.
in.
Yeah, and Windows you almost have to use MJPEG. So let me just turn that off. I can switch cameras.
Gary.
So I have 3 cameras here. So this is camera number 2. That's up there. That's my 922. So as you can see, I've done nothing with the color on that. So all orange. But yeah, so let's see, what's that? Auto that.
I know anybody who's not into this stuff, we lost you a long time ago, but this is the post show.
Yeah.
We can talk about
Show's
anything.
over, folks. Show's over. Go home.
Bueller?
Yeah, Bueller.
I watched, watched Fast Times at Ridgemont High with my oldest son. Has never seen that before, so we said we got to watch this Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It is still hilarious to me today.
Yeah, it is. All of those movies from those eras are pretty funny. Let me try pushing a smaller resolution. I didn't select that from the beginning. That was my fault. But no, see, it just auto selects that.
I'm gonna have Go ahead.
I can push 4K to you from this camera, it says, but I'm pretty sure this camera doesn't do 4K, so I'd be interesting to see what that actually does. All right, video, MJPEG, no microphone. We don't want echo, 720p. There's nothing for input, right? I don't do input on that because it's just, yeah. All right, here comes that middle camera again, but it's 720 now. Yeah, it's a lot faster, I can tell already. It's smoother and faster. You know what it is? I bet you it's just that vMix can't handle 1080p in the preview. Although, no, because I selected the blank again and now it's flickering like crazy. It won't leave the preview thing for some reason. I still think it's SLI. That because there's 2 cards and it's only addressing one, the other card is still writing the same thing to the screen. I'll guarantee you that's it. If I turn SLI off, it'll probably work perfect.
Yeah, well, before you do that, maybe I can ask some of those guys, do you have to do anything special for SLI, for a system with SLI in it? Maybe there is something special you need to do.
Yeah, I hate to do that because
you got them in there for a reason.
Yeah, I use the speed for rendering when I'm doing renders in Premiere and in After Effects, and obviously for gaming and stuff when I'm recording. So. Yeah, I had you on the other camera.
But don't give up yet. It's a very powerful program.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I kept coming back to it because I like the layout and I like how professional it is. I love the slide switch thing that you can switch scenes with. That's kind of pretty cool. And also, I think that the Stream Deck can be wired up to work with it as well. So.
And the thing I like about this too is the guys who write it. They're very active in their community. They're in Australia, but they travel to America and do trade shows all the time. They have their own little vMix Fun Time live show every month, and they're not good at it, but they talk about their product and everything. And they're very responsive. When there's issues, they'll get them fixed, and they'll interact with the community a lot. So they interact with the community and do iterations of this thing several times a year. So it's compared to Wirecast, which is where I was coming from. They're much more responsive and listen to you, and they're iterating the software much faster.
Nice. So. Let's see what else I got here. Let's see how good it is at playing something. I don't know if I have anything I can play. Play in my latest.
Anybody else out there still?
There are 3 people on Facebook who are just hanging on, man.
But are 2 of them me and you?
Maybe, could be, yeah. We just don't give up.
Who's the one person left watching us?
Probably Greg's hanging out with us or somebody. I don't know. Millen is out there. You never know. Here, I'll play you a video. This is my latest video, folks. If you go to my website, you can see this video. Let me see if I can get it to work. This will be interesting. Gosh, I have no idea how loud this is going to be, Mike, so you might want to run for the hills. All right, let's see. That one next. Do I have any control over the volume? I should, right? There's audio right there.
Yeah.
Oh, I can turn audio on and off. But where's the audio?
I'm not sure how we're going to get audio.
Well, I'll play it and we'll see what happens. Here it goes.
Yep, I'm getting audio.
Oh, and we can talk over this and everything. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna make your shot here full screen.
This is the Air Mobility Command Museum, and they have an amazing. Now this is a 4K video too, by the way, so I apologize if it's coming at you slow. They have an absolutely amazing staff there and a real hands-on approach to warplanes. I was able to get inside all of these planes and shoot inside them.
Hey, is this copyrighted music?
No, this is royalty-free music. Okay. Yeah, no copyright strikes. It's awesome. Share it with all your friends. Doesn't matter. So I actually use Epidemic Sound, which you can get copyright-free music from. So, and it's good stuff too. So, but they also have a full complement of planes outside, and you can go inside all of these planes. Once a month, they have an open house where you can go inside all these planes and explore them. So. Cool. It's really cool. They have flight simulators there that you can fly, and this is an active Air Force base, by the way, so they get lots of cool planes there. So there's this fighter plane coming up that's pretty cool. Yeah. So this was all shot on an Osmo from DJI.
Yeah.
This is stabilized video, and then I actually restabilized it to make it even smoother than it was, because it was in 4K.
What did you shoot? So you shot it on the Osmo that has the camera built into it?
Yeah. Yep. I don't have the mobile one. I wish I had the mobile one. But yeah, so it's this was just a compliment video for the story that I wrote on the visit there. So just a real cool place to visit. And
yeah, very cool.
I might get my stuff out of there. Yeah. vMix, guys, it's pretty cool. It works pretty awesome. I didn't even know I could do that. I didn't know I could stream and if I really probably, if I gave you the 1080p version or the 720, it would have probably looked even better, a lot smoother than jamming 4K at you.
Because you're streaming it to me through Skype. I'm screen grabbing it and then restreaming it. So yeah, that's you're not going to get the quality there.
It's a little rough. Rough. Proof of concept. I want to make sure it worked.
I think that may be a good thing to close on your video there.
Oh well, thanks. I got to get running anyways because I got a lot of PHP 7 to install.
You do. You still have some work to do there. So let's hook back up again whenever you have a chance and time to spare, and we'll work on some of vMix stuff if you want.
Yeah, let's talk about that too really quick about the next show because I know we catch up with each other on Facebook afterwards. We're right here. We might as well. I am going to be in Wyoming for 2.5 weeks.
Okay. Starting
the 1st of August. So I'm not going to be around until the end. So while we did this show early, we're going to probably end up doing the next one late.
That's fine.
For July because I will, unless you want to do it on the road, which would be a kick. I wonder if I could do that.
If you want to, we can, or we can wait till the end of the month. That's fine with me.
It might be fun though. It might just be fun to do it from
on location
with the background. You know, the Grand Teton Mountain Range. That might be fun.
Yeah. Well, when you get out there, if you have the bandwidth and the time, we can do that. I'll leave it your call.
Yeah, we actually rented a whole house for the time that we're there. I think I saw.
Didn't you post that house? That looks fantastic.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're the first ones in. This is a brand new house. They just built it. So these people are building these houses for people to stay at out there, and it's a huge business right now. So they're actually going to take some of the photos from my group and purchase photos from the group and use them to decorate some of the houses out there. So that's even more awesome.
Yeah.
So,
anybody going now I would know?
Lynn Wazicki is going with me. Mary Preston Roberts is going. And, Greg Crowsdale is going.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, Greg was with us on our Acadia trip, and now we've turned this into like this annual photographers retreat thing. So, I'm telling everybody for next year, we still want to go to Jasper and Banff. This year we didn't do it because of the way border crossings are, and it's just a big complication for everybody to get equipment over and back. They really do not like you taking a lot of camera equipment across into Canada and then back without a work visa, because even if you say you're going on vacation, they don't believe you. And Ron Clifford's a friend of mine, and he runs into it all the time. He tries to come down here just to go on vacation, and they just harass the heck out of him. That he's, are you sure you're not working because you're taking a lot of equipment? And he's like, but
I'm a photographer. That's what I do.
I'm a photographer. I love to shoot this stuff. This is my fun stuff. And they're like, yeah, but are you going to use any of this stuff? And he's like, oh, come on, guys, really? If I was going down to shoot a wedding or something like that, or an event, then I would do a work visa. But
do you fly out or drive out?
I am driving because taking drones and all sorts of flying equipment, and I really don't want to try to lug the amount of equipment that I have. I've got 4 video cameras going, the aerial equipment going, 2 still cameras, 3 still cameras if you count Danielle's camera, probably 20 or some lenses for the week, and my computers, and it's just, for me to take it on a plane, it would be so expensive. Yeah. Plus, Danny and I have the first trip that we ever took out there. We kind of have a route that we go on, and we have like restaurants that we kind of discovered together and places we discovered together. So for us, it's kind of just, it's a chance to revisit the places that we love along the way and see people that we met the first time and they still remember us. And it's fun, and I like to drive. So it's 30 hours to drive out there, but it's not like, it goes, so it
I like
quick.
to drive too, and I like to be able to pack what I want to pack. So I'm not afraid to fly, but if I have the option to drive, I will drive.
Yeah, when we flew out to Yosemite and San Francisco in 2015, that was my first time on a plane. I'd just never flown. I just don't. I drove, East Coast was mostly where I vacationed. And when we went out west for the first time, I had no clue how to transport a camera or even what to take on a plane, let alone a tripod or any of that kind of stuff. And so, and plus, September 11th had happened, and it was, all of that was more complicated than it's ever been. Yeah, we just got into driving and doing it. But when we flew out to San Francisco, it was absolutely amazing. And I had a blast in the plane, shooting out the window of the plane and flying over. We flew over Yosemite, and I got to see Half Dome from 30,000 feet.
Nice.
And the amazing thing is that from 30,000 feet, I knew it was Half Dome. I could see it.
It's big enough. I mean,
it was big enough you could tell. You're like, and Danielle's looking like, oh my God, you can actually see the whole park. It looks like Google Maps, But yeah, it's, for me, the adventure of driving. We find so much more stuff. I mean, I've got a story in my queue. I'll make sure that you get a link to it about the trip that we took on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and up into Canada. And we found this like old antique store, and you would not believe some of the things we found in this antique store. And I took pictures of a lot of the stuff because it was just like there. Okay, so I have to tell you, have you ever heard of the marble game called Aggravation?
No.
Where it's like marbles, and you roll a dice and you go around the board, right? And you land on somebody, they send them back home. Yeah. They had a handmade aggravation board that was in the shape of a swastika. I did like a triple take. I was like,
trees there.
And then I went and got Danielle. I'm like, is that? And she's like, yep. And I'm like, it's just there with marbles, like it's a game to play.
Let's let the kids play with the swastika.
Oh yeah, and it was, that was the other thing. It wasn't like behind like the counter or anything. It was just right there, just like, and it was a novelty. I mean, the guy was clearly not into that sort of thing, but it was just it was stuff like that you just don't find on a plane. You don't find it on a plane usually. If you do, it's not a good thing. So
it's not maybe a plane you want to be on.
So I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna probably check in. Maybe I'll even bother you guys while you're doing your podcast or something while we're out there. My plan was to do some live casts from the drone, or also while we're hiking and doing all that kind of stuff while we're on the trip. So we'll try to get that on Facebook or someplace for everybody to share.
Awesome. Sounds like fun. I'd love to make it out there sometime.
Oh, dude. You've never been to Yosemite?
No, I've not. I think we went out to Grand Canyon when I was a kid, and I think that's as far. Maybe we went to Pikes Peak. I think that's as far up that way we went.
Yeah, the Grand Canyon, if you haven't seen it as an adult, it's a different experience. For me, it was, I literally stood at the edge of the Grand Canyon, and for 15 minutes, I couldn't really say anything. And in my brain, as much as I can remember, all I kept thinking was my brain couldn't comprehend what I was looking at. Like it was the first time in my life that I was looking at something and going,
How can this be?
that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. Like you're looking at it going, there could be like a whole city down there at the bottom of the canyon and you wouldn't even know it. I mean,
I know I would definitely appreciate it more as an adult than I did as a kid.
yeah. And Yosemite is a very spiritual thing. The West was spiritual for me because, and this trip is going to be spiritual for me simply because when you get to Big Sky Country, essentially you realize how big the world is. You realize how small one person really is in the world. Mm-hmm. And then it comes around and you realize that one person can make a huge difference in the world. So it all kind of does that thing in your brain. You're like, wow. You know, I know it sounds cliche for people to be like, dude, you know, you totally spiritual, man. But it really, you know, I'm not that way. And it really touched me. I'm not a very emotionally connected person usually, but it's really something to stand out there. And then when we went to Yosemite, it was when you look down the valley and you see that iconic scene, the Ansel Adams scene that everybody knows. Yeah. You realize he stood there, and then you feel the weight of your backpack and your camera equipment, and then you realize that he had none of that. That he carried a giant camera with a giant tripod and no roads and horses, you know, and you just realize how he struggled to get up.
How much harder it was.
Yeah, right. And all the hiking and stuff. It's just.
And he didn't have a digital camera where he can get instant feedback.
Nope. Yep. He went away going, you know, I hope I did everything right, and the camera performed the way that it was supposed to. Right. Because if it didn't, you're back the next time. But I did realize I think it was, that point I knew I'd made a good decision to move away from music and pursue the photography full time because. He did this. I didn't know this until I read his story well after I had done it, that he did the same thing. He was a jazz musician in San Francisco and went out and visited the mountains and got that feeling and decided, I don't want to deal with musicians anymore. I have a lot of musicians who are great friends. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of soap opera times at times. So,
well, seeing that beauty of that country can have an effect on you. Maybe that's what did it too. We're going to Alaska next August 2018. We're going to Alaska.
2 states I don't have on my list, man. Alaska and Hawaii. So
wait, you don't have on your list that you don't want to go to, or you've been to every state but those 2?
I've been to every state except for those 2.
Wow, that's incredible.
So those are the last ones on the list. And 2015 was the first time to California. I'd been out west as far as Nevada, but I didn't make it into California. And then in 2015, we basically upended the bucket list. We put 52,000 miles down in 2015 of travel in 1 year. So I was all over with Trey, and when we went to Philly, and I was in New York City 3 times, and then I was in Chicago. And then out to San Francisco, and then California. At the beginning of the year, I was in Southern California and Joshua Tree and the Baja and down that way. So
I'm looking at the map now. Where you going to Yellowstone or to where?
So we're going to be staying at a little town called Driggs, Idaho, which is on the other side of the Grand Teton. It's at the base of the Grand Teton Valley. So we'll be right there. But we're going to be visiting Bannon State Park, which is Hangman's Gulch. That's a ghost town out there. We're going to be going there. Virginia City in Montana. And then I'm taking everybody on what I call the drive of a lifetime, which is north of Yellowstone. There's a road called the Beartooth Highway. And it is a switchback highway that curves its way into the northern Rockies, and it's just it is breathtakingly unbelievable, the entire road. In fact, I would challenge anybody out there who's driven any road in America to tell me that this road is not the best road in America. So
Yeah, I've never taken my kids out there. I need to go out there someday.
Wyoming is amazing. You can do, we did in 2010, and this is current prices, I think are pretty much the same. We did two people, we took out to Wyoming and drove and did the whole loop, and we did Badlands and we did Mount Rushmore and what is it, the National Monument, the big tall,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about. Close Encounters, the third kind. Why is on the tip of my tongue. But we did all of that, and $1,200 was pretty
Wow,
much the budget. Yeah. So I don't think we could do it today because we've changed the way that we do things, and we've raised the bar a little bit. But if you want to do it on a budget, and you don't have to stay at, Hilton Inns and that kind of stuff while you're out there, and you can stay in a log cabin, and still a nice log cabin motel or hotel like in West Yellowstone. There's a bunch of places there that you can get for a fairly good amount of basic money, not expensive, and drive. It's a great adventure. I mean, it's the Brady Bunch family adventure, right? I mean, isn't that what?
Yeah. I wonder how long of a drive that is for me. It's got to be a long drive.
Not for you? Aren't you halfway there?
I'm in Atlanta.
You're in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
You got a big head start on me, dude. You got like 4 state start on me.
But I'm just like south. I got to go north and west. You just got to go west.
Yeah, but there's diagonal routes for you to go. I have to go west and then south and then west and then south. It's ridiculous because of the way that
I'm about to tell you, 28. Well, it's not. I guess it is shorter than you. 28 hours from. I just put it in Yellowstone National Park.
Yeah.
From my place to Yellowstone is 28 hours.
And do it in 3 days. Stay 2 nights. That's 8-hour drives a day. If you got people switching on and off between you and your wife or whatever, it's not that bad. I mean, the worst part of it is, like, if you're coming from the north, our problem is that our choice to get out there. The first year we went south and then out, and that was gorgeous because we went through Texas, Amarillo, all of that.
Oh, you did
that
the
was
long route.
Oh, dude, that was amazing though.
Yeah.
We went to the Big Texan. We got to see Cadillac Ranch, all the stuff that I wanted to see in seeing the West. But now when we go out, we go to Chesterton, and we go down, out to Cleveland, down to Chesterton, Indiana, and then Sioux Falls, and we either get to go through South Dakota, which is pretty much a straight road, but there is things to see there. But the alternate is to cross Nebraska, which is one road. Yeah, and it's one road though, and it's straight. I mean, you can go to sleep in Nebraska on the highway and wake up on the other side, and you're still in your lane. It's ridiculous.
It's like Iowa's like that too. It's one road going right across the country, state.
Yep.
Yeah, I think right after Omaha is where I would pick up the same track as you.
Yep. Yep. And I'll tell you, there's roads. I mean, I could give you like staying in Cheyenne, Wyoming is a wonderful little town. They have a really cool Wrangler jean store there, like where they made Wrangler jeans for a while. So way back in the day, they have this horse in the middle of town in Cheyenne, Wyoming, that's made out of wrenches and bolts and saw blades and all sorts of rusted stuff. And you would think like, oh, an abstract of a horse. This is a perfect shape of a horse. They bent all these pieces and hammered them, and it looks like a real horse. Then you get up close to it, and it's made out of all these metal parts, wrenches and hammers and parts and railroad tie stakes, and it's just amazing.
Cool. I don't know when we can do this. And you know what happens as the kids get older, and now they're both going to be off in college, getting them to do anything is difficult.
Yeah, see, there was somebody watching us because Thomas Sandlin was watching us, because now there's one person in the post show, and I think that's just me, right?
I'm there too.
So it doesn't show us because it shows me, but it doesn't show you because you're the owner.
Okay.
Yep. So if I log off right now, you should see no one. So there, I logged off. You shouldn't see anybody in there now.
Let's see.
See if I go away. I think there's a delay to it too.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a delay. Yep. Yep. Now nobody.
Yay! We cleared the house. All right, buddy.
Gary's still there out in YouTube. But Gary, we're gonna go ahead. You got to listen to all that. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm gonna go ahead and end this post show, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Gary. Thanks to anybody else who's listening. Good night.
Night. I always forget what camera I'm looking at. Which one is on?